Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. There we go. Welcome to 2022. Welcome to our first Board of County Commissioners meeting for this day, January 11th, 2022. This morning, we are pleased to have our invocation led by Pastor Pam Bell from Shiloh Ministry Baptist Church in Dunedin. Pastor, if you would come forward and deliver the invocation. Following the invocation, Commissioner Flowers will lead us in the pledge. Please rise.
Good morning and Happy New Year to everyone. Let's look now to the Lord in a word of prayer. To the Almighty God, the Father of our most precious Lord Jesus, it is by His grace that we are here, privileged to be in this new year. After having been brought through and out of last year, which was a year of changes and challenges. But through the wit and wisdom, chairmanship, Commissioner Edgar, his fellow commissioners, Lord Jesus, you brought us, Pinellas County, through. So here we are at the beginning of this year. And the helm this ship has been given to Commissioner Justice to navigate Pinellas through the rough seas that lies ahead. It is a good name, and with compassion, he and his fellow commissioners will amend it with two other words, for all, thus making justice for all in Pinellas County. Finally, Lord, while this commission is spending long hours seeking the welfare and betterment of Pinellas and her residents, please take care of their families as they watch over Pinellas. Keep their hearts and make their hearts like yours, hearts that is willing to help the hurting, the hungry, the helpless, the homeless, and the hopeless. Bless, Lord, this meeting today, and with your grace and mercy, we shall overcome this year also. This is our prayer, asking in the name of Jesus, and all said, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Bell. We appreciate you being with us this morning. All right, we have a couple of proclamations and recognitions this morning, and I'll come to the lectern for that. Good morning, commissioners and honored guests that we have with us this morning. Our first proclamation this morning is to honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And I'll say in advance that we were intended to have a group with us to receive this proclamation in person. But 2022 looks a little like 2021, and they're not able to be with us this morning. But I do want to read just a little bit of it for you because it's important. Millions of Americans have honored the life and legacy of Dr. King by serving their neighbors and communities on this holiday through service projects that are organized by various nonprofit, community, public, and private organizations. Pinellas County wants to recognize that the legacy of Dr. King lives on through the tremendous work of many community organizations, which includes the Carter Woodson Museum, African American Museum in St. Petersburg, and organizations throughout our community. So therefore be it proclaimed by the Pinellas County Board of County Commissioners that January 18th, 2022 be recognized as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And we encourage you to take part in activities throughout Pinellas to honor the memory of Dr. King with a day on and not a day off. Thank you very much. It's wonderful to start 2022 by recognizing some of our incredible employees with our Employee Recognition Awards and Video program. Today, we're recognizing two individuals. First, we have Pam Bell. And Pinellas County employees like Pam work behind the scenes every day to keep people safe, take care of our environment, strengthen our economy, and provide first-class citizens services to our community. Our Employee Appreciation Program is one way we thank those individuals or teams that have done outstanding work. Today, we begin our recognitions with an employee, Pam, from the Ambulance Billing and Financial Services, a division of Safety and Emergency Services. Every day, Pam provides customer service as a regulatory compliance manager, and as we're about to see, she's proven herself to be a tremendous asset to the team at Ambulance Billing and Financial Services. I'd like to invite Pam Bell to join me at the podium while we watch a video about her role and accomplishments. Pam?
My name is Pam Bell, and I'm the Regulatory Compliance Manager for Ambulance Billing and Financial Services, which is a division of Safety and Emergency Services. I oversee the daily operations of Ambulance Billing and Financial Services sections. I read and interpret regulations and determine how those regulations will impact our operations. I do staff management, and I oversee the drafting of several documents related to the department.
She started with the county in 1991, took an entry-level position, has worked her way up to an ambulance billing manager. Pam has a very demanding job. She oversees the ambulance billing operation that is highly regulated. It's a high-volume operation. We generate about $60 million in ambulance revenue every year that supports this critical service for our citizens.
I think a lot about my job as like a big giant logic puzzle. Like, how can we do this? How can we stay within the regulations and get the maximum revenue and serve our citizens in Pinellas County and the visitors, and maintain a standard of medical care.
Recently, we had a situation where a gentleman unfortunately lost his wife, and the timing of receiving the bill for the ambulance transport was not good.
Yes, that is correct.
He was very upset. Pam took the time, listened to the gentleman, heard his concerns, walked him through the process, and by the end of the conversation, the gentleman was thanking her and actually wrote in a handwritten note to thank her for her services and her empathy.
I think when we actually help someone and they feel good about it, they don't see us as this big entity. They see us as these individual people doing these individual jobs for the citizens of Pinellas County.
Pam is very passionate about what she does. She cares about the county. She cares about our team members. And every day she comes to work and gives 110%. And I'm just honored to work with her every day.
My name is Pam Bell, and I am Pinellas County.
It's easy to see in that video why Pam was selected. Congratulations for your recognition. We're going to take a quick photo, and then I'll give you a chance to say a few words. Okay. We're going to step right over here.
Thank you. I'm very appreciative and thankful for this recognition, but it's really reflective of all the work of the full team of Ambulance Billing and Financial Services do every day that's sometimes forgotten or overlooked a little bit in this industry because we're on the back end. It's also reflective of our leadership, of the innovation, the inclusiveness, and the true leadership of our director, Jody Schechler, and also the support and mentoring of all my family and friends. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Also this morning, we'd like to recognize an employee with Pinellas County Animal Services who actually coincidentally made local and national news recently by providing excellent customer service to some of our most defenseless residents, our pets. Every day, Pinellas County Animal Control Patrick Hauk demonstrates exemplary dedication to the citizens and animals of Pinellas. And as we're about to see, Patrick goes above and beyond at a moment's notice to help animals in need. I'd like to invite Patrick Houck up to join me at the podium while we watch a video showing his accomplishments.
My name is Patrick Houck. I'm an animal control officer with Pinellas County Animal Services. I've worked for Pinellas County Animal Services as an animal control officer for 2.5 years. My job is to enforce county ordinances, protect animals, help people with animals, pick up stray animals, any kind of neglect, cruelty charges, anything like that.
I nominated Patrick for this because he's always going above and beyond with volunteering for community outreach opportunities. He always takes advantage of opportunity to be out there servicing the community in whatever way he can. He really takes customer service to the next level when he's in the field. He sees himself less of an enforcement type officer and more of a community outreach and fixing problems.
I've always loved animals since I was a kid. Grew up on a farm. I was always the one to bring home stray animals from other farms, injured animals, anything like that. I brought them home and took care of them since I can remember.
Patrick was on standby the other night when a call came in about an injured dog that was trapped underneath of a trailer.
And it was a dog that was hit by a car on 4th Street. It was pouring rain. You could see the dog, it had some injuries, you could see, and it wasn't moving under the trailer. And I just asked the owner of the trailer if I could move a couple bricks to get underneath it. And so I pulled some bricks out and crawled under there, took one of my big nets.
You're gonna get help now, bud. You're gonna be okay.
Just put him in the net and crawled back out. It was about 20 feet in to actually get there. So, and there's not much, there's this much room under there to crawl. So it was interesting, but I got him out and he's here now. No major injuries to him. I'm Patrick Houck and I am Pinellas County.
We're going to do a photo. Congratulations, Patrick. Would you like to say a few words?
I've always been a man of few words, but thank you all for everything you do. I love working for the county and I hope to continue doing it for many more years. And thank you, sir.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Can't think of a much better way to start the new year than recognizing our incredible employees. Next this morning, we have a partner presentation. I'd like to invite Amy Foster, the CEO of the Homeless Leadership Alliance of Pinellas. And also, while she's coming up, I want to congratulate her and recognize her for 8 years of incredible service on the St. Pete City Council. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you. I think you have some slides that were provided to you in advance that, this is really a good news item. I know so often as an elected official that you only get the problems and the challenges before you, and you wonder, are we doing anything that works, right? Are we making a difference? And so I felt like it was really important for us to recognize the work that you as policymakers and your dedicated public servants as staff have been doing over the last 10 years so you could see how it's going. And what does it look like right now in the middle of the pandemic, right? We hear that there's a housing crisis, so are we getting anywhere? I want to thank Commissioner Flowers. She is currently our representative for the board, and I think in the last 8 years, every single one of you, except for Commissioner Eggers, has served the Homeless Leadership Board in some way. So we know that we can't do this alone. I am one person. I am here as the CEO of the Homeless Leadership Alliance, but there are more than 85 providers here in Pinellas County working every day to help solve this issue. And here's what we've accomplished together. So homelessness in Pinellas County is actually down 43%. Nationwide, it's down only 9%. So we know that the additional investments that we're making in our community is helping make a dent in that problem. Additionally, I wanted you to look at this in a slightly different way, because we know that population size drives some of these numbers. So if we look at this by number of people living in the county, back in 2010, there were 43 people living unhoused for every 10,000 people. And in 2020, there were 22.8. The statewide average is 18, so we're doing a little worse than the statewide average on this, but we also know we have unique challenges here in Pinellas, and we're going to keep working to be the example here in the state of Florida. So I would say in the pandemic, I know a lot of people have seen more people on the streets. We also know that our shelters have been working really hard to socially distance. There have been times that shelter is not available to folks because of COVID-19. Right now we have, I think, 3 pods on lockdown at Safe Harbor for this very reason. So what's that sheltered count and unsheltered count looking like? So our sheltered count is down 24%. Again, we're doing much better than the nation in this area. But our unsheltered count is down 60%, which is really great. One of the trends that HUD is seeing across the nation is that while sheltered counts are going down, unsheltered counts are going up. And so we're really proud that that hasn't happened in our community just yet. Individuals are down 30%. This is on par with the nation. Veteran work is really important to our community. The whole Tampa Bay region has a huge veteran population. Our veteran homelessness is down 39%. This is an area that we have some more work to do. Nationwide, this is down 50%. The Stafford Act actually says that anyone who is a veteran and has served who wants to be housed should be housed, and there are enough financial resources to make this happen. We have recently recommitted to this work by hiring a director of veteran services and additional navigators to ensure that those who've served us have dignity whenever they need housing. So this is one that I'm sure all of you receive a lot of calls, especially with the ERAP program and other investments happening in our community. We talk a lot about family homelessness. We worry about our babies sleeping in cars. I want to thank Commissioner Seal for her advocacy and investment a few years ago that helped expand our family shelter beds in our system. We still don't have enough. And we'll have some significant conversation over the next year about that. But nationwide, this number is down only 29%. And here in Pinellas County, we should be really proud that that number has dropped by 71%. Another area that is near and dear to many of your hearts, youth homelessness, and Pinellas County also has some significant investments in this area to make sure that those who've aged out of foster care, those who are, that 18 to 25 age range who need some additional navigation assistance, this is down 13%. This is on par with how everybody else is doing, both statewide and the nation. We are seeing this number in the pandemic creep up, and so we are investing some additional resources to help address this particular issue. So what's happening with chronic homelessness? And when you hear the word chronic, you often think somebody who's been homeless a long time. But that's not how HUD defines chronic homelessness. There is a very specific definition that I'm not going to go over that talks about the number of times they've been homeless, but it also requires that they have a disability. So this particular population is our very most vulnerable. And in this area, we have some work to do. So over the past 10 years, the number of our chronic homeless individuals has actually increased by 25%. Across the nation, this is a challenge that other continuums of care also are experiencing. But in the last 2 years, we've decreased this number by 20%. So we're going in the right direction and just need to keep working at it. So we hear a lot about housing in Pinellas County, and I wanted to show you some numbers that would help you see how housing impacts success rates. So over 10 years, we've had a 33% success rate and housed more than 16,000 people. I'll tell you that's not nearly enough. You'd be surprised to know that almost 18,000 homeless people present in Pinellas County every single year. So over 10 years, we helped what comes into the system in 1 year. But you see over 2019 and 2020, those numbers are going slightly down, and our success rate is going down. So people are having a harder time finding housing, they're staying in the system longer, and then once they get housing, they need longer types of assistance. So where are we now, right? There's been lots of changes over the last 2 years. Commissioner Justice started us out saying we thought 2022 was going to be different, and it looks a lot like 2021. But I'm here to tell you that the investments through ERAP and the investments you'll be making decisions on the future with ARPA, and also your general fund dollars are still making a difference. We've all been holding our breath, waiting for that tsunami to come, while all your staff are working really hard to figure out how to braid all the funds to make sure there are no gaps. So our total homelessness is down 8%, unsheltered is down 3%, and sheltered is down 10%. We already talked about that chronic homeless number, that's going in the right direction, but we have more work to do. And veteran homelessness is down 16%. So what are we going to be doing in the future? We had a study last year around racial disparities in the system. You know that we have racial disparities in our community. We've talked a lot as a community about the equity work ahead of us. Right now, this is one of the things that we are most laser focused on. Our population, we should have about 17%, anywhere between 11 and 17% of African Americans showing up in the homelessness system. And instead here in Pinellas County, it's 40. I want everybody to take a deep breath and recognize that that's a very wide disparity. And our work with researchers have told us what the needs are, and our work with our clients has told us, they said housing's great, but jobs are the answer, and we need help with employment. So we're piloting some workforce development programs. We have programs like Career Source and others in the community, but they're letting us know that that's not working, right? Transportation is a barrier for our community. They need folks who can come to them. We've also recently joined a movement, I'm gonna call it a movement, called Built for Zero. This particular organization has a model, just won a $100 million MacArthur Award to continue their work. 18 communities using their models have ended homelessness. And so we've joined forces with them. We have a big group of providers working on this, and we're gonna focus on our chronic population. One of the great things I want you to know about Built for Zero is once we go through some of those cohorts and learn the strategies, when we get to the end, what they call the last mile, they pull in all their investors from across the country, Kaiser Permanente, ExxonMobil, and others. You tell them what you need to get to that last mile, and they fund it. So this is a really great opportunity for Pinellas County to finally end chronic homelessness. We're also building our membership in non-traditional partners. We're having listening sessions with folks like you and others who can tell us what you're hearing, what you need more of. And then we are also working to change the face of homelessness. Too many people think that someone who's homeless, they picture the older man on the side of the street who may be panhandling, who may have issues with mental health or substance abuse. And in Pinellas County, that is not what we see. It is often an African-American mother with children who's working in our hotel industry and our service industry, but it's just not enough to afford the particular housing we have available in this community. So I want to thank you for your time this morning. I'm here as a resource if you ever have questions or need assistance for those who may present at your office, and we just want to say thank you for your investments. It's not time to stop. We still have a lot of work to do. There's one data point that wasn't available for this presentation that I'll send out after the meeting today to each of you. We recently looked at how newly homelessness is going down as our investments in prevention and diversion go up. And it's pretty exciting to see that instead of people experiencing the trauma of homelessness, there is an inverse relation, as you would expect, that the more we invest in preventing homelessness, the more we can keep people housed, children in the schools they attend, and families working. So I'll be sure to send that out so that you can see that information as well. Thank you.
We appreciate you being here. Are there questions for Ms. Foster? Commissioner Flowers.
No question. There we go. No question, but just a compliment. I want to thank Amy Foster for the work that she's been doing. She's been a part of the homeless or the desire to end homelessness even before she became head of the organization. And I can tell you that her relationship, along with several other persons that are on that board with the hotel and motel industry, to be able to take persons in, it has been absolutely phenomenal. And the work that she's doing in the community and the trust that she's built. Also, to add in when the count is being done, trying to determine just how many persons we have in the community that are homeless, and then linking those individuals to services. But also understanding that one touch is not enough. It takes a number of touches. So it gives me great pleasure to serve on the committee. There's always new and interesting information that's coming forward. Very passionate providers that serve on the committee. But the one thing about their passion is that they all support each other. It's not a give me, 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 me. It's how can we do this together? And I really love that environment when we come together and have our meetings. So thank you so much. And congratulations again. I'm sure that you'll find some other things to take up your time with. Other people are already thinking about things that you could take up your time with. But thank you so very much for the work that you're doing. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much for
you.
being here this morning. We appreciate it. All right, Commissioners, we're moving to our public hearing this morning. Item number 4 on our agenda. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Agenda item number 4 is a legislative petition to vacate submitted by Mikhail A. Fokin, Zilia Ruga, Hugo E. Gonzalez, Rosemary Craig Gonzalez, Gimbal McNeil, and Mary McNeil. It's to vacate a 50-foot right-of-way of Palmetto Avenue, lying east of Elm Street and west of Church Street, and also the 10-foot wide alley lying east of and adjacent to lots 6 through 10, Block 2, and west of and adjacent to lots 1 through 5, Block 2, all being a part of the Jackson Park subdivision. If the commissioners will remember, this item was continued from the December 7th, 2021 regular BCC meeting. The public hearing was properly advertised. An affidavit of publication has been received for filing. Letters of no objection have been received, with Spectrum advising that the petitioner would bear the expense of any required relocation of its facilities. All interested parties have been notified as to the date of the public hearing. 2 emails in opposition had previously been received. The matter is properly before the board to be heard.
Thank you very much. Mr. Administrator, good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. As you recall, last month we did ask for a continuance on this. Since that time, myself and staff has had the opportunity to meet with both the City of Safety Harbor to get clarification regarding some issues, along with the petitioners. The petitioners have also retained Brian Ongst as counsel for them. However, the following meeting between Safety Harbor, the petitioners, and Pinellas County has yet to occur. It's scheduled for January the 18th. Staff does not object to the 10-foot alley vacation. However, we would request until those meetings occur, no action occur regarding the 50-foot right-of-way. Blake Lyons is here to answer any questions along with the petitioner.
Okay. We can, is this an agreement by the petitioner? Mr. Ongst, do you want to come forward? Are you representing the petitioner this morning?
Oh, I remember now.
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Brian Ungst, 625 Court Street on behalf of the petitioners. And I'm also joined by Mr. Fokin and Ms. Ruga, who I'm sure you all agree did a much better job than I ever could have presenting this issue to you for almost, I think, 2 hours at your last December 7th meeting. I did want to say a few words just about the progress and what we're hoping to accomplish with the city, if that's okay, maybe 5 minutes or less in terms of that. And I did want to reference one of the slides in the PowerPoints just to reorient you and remind you of what the issues that were discussed in the December 7th meeting. We really want to thank the administrator, Mr. Burton. Mr. Lyon has been excellent in terms of facilitating these conversations with the city. And as Mr. Burton said, we did meet with many members of the senior county staff on December 29th to discuss what the options are, eyes wide open in terms of the development of the site. And the meeting with the City of Safety Harbor is scheduled for next Tuesday, January 18th, and we're greatly looking forward to that. I cannot get this to move here for some reason.
There you go.
Oh, okay, there we go. Am I doing it? Turn on. Yeah. Okay, so this slide probably is the best to demonstrate the amalgamation of properties there and the two pieces we're talking about. As we discussed this morning, we have an agreement to vacate the Paper Alley, Church Street. One of the great benefits, as was noted at the last meeting, of developing the Ruga property with a single-family home is that the county will get an easement over an impaired water body, the creek to the north, which it currently does not have an easement access to. So that is something that I think the county staff is eager to accomplish. The Rugas were living on a trailer on the Gonzalez property. You can see the trailer. It's kind of towards the north of the Gonzalez property. Right before Christmas, they actually purchased the Gonzalez property because, frankly, they just didn't want to live in the trailer anymore. They'd been in the trailer for almost 2 years. They purchased the Ruga property in March of 2020, and they applied for the driveway permit in August of 2020. So we've been working with the city and the county for 18 months on the driveway issue. At the last meeting, Commissioner Long specifically said, she doesn't want to see this drag out for another 6 months. And the county staff has been excellent at helping us facilitate with the city. And I think there are several options. Some include either vacating a portion of Palmetto, vacating all of it, or not vacating it. It does seem like there was a little bit of a misunderstanding or miscommunication on what the city's goals were in terms of either getting the Palmetto Avenue right-of-way as it is or getting it as an improved street, which obviously, my clients aren't in a position to build a street basically to nowhere. It was also noted that Palmetto has been vacated on both sides. Those vacations happened in the 1980s and 1990s, and it has been developed on both other sides. So we feel like there's very little public purpose for the county in retaining any right-of-way on Palmetto. We know that we're going to continue that conversation to the next meeting, and hopefully we have some solutions worked out with the City of Safety Harbor. My clients did resubmit their driveway permit application in August of 2021, and so far haven't received any comments back, although Mr. Lyon said that there's apparently some comments regarding structural issues, and he's supposed to get those to us. Obviously, our biggest concern is that it's been a long time, and I know you all want to get this resolved, and we want to get it resolved. And again, we're really thankful for the staff and Mr. Burton and his team for helping us facilitate this conversation with the city. Last point, my clients have already invested $7,000 in designing a sprinkler system based on some initial feedback from the city. That may or may not be necessary for them to install a sprinkler system, but they've put a tremendous amount of time and resources into this, and we're very much looking forward to getting onto the same page with the city and with the county staff. With that, I'll answer any questions you have.
Commissioners, any questions at this time? Commissioner Eggers?
So Brian, you and your clients, good to see you again. Happy New Year to you all. You're good to wait till, I guess, when would it come next, Barry, after your meeting?
We're asking that this come back on February the 22nd. That gives us time to, after the meeting, to get it posted and advertised. So it'd come back for the February 22nd meeting.
And we're fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so you're good to wait on both vacations until then?
And as you know, I'm not shy to reach out to you all if we have any issues we'd like to update you on in the meantime. So I will let you all know via email how our meeting on the 18th goes.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. Yes. And just to clarify, we are moving forward with the vacation of the 10 feet Church Paper Street today.
And staff does
Thank
not-
you for that clarification. That's kind of what I was asking.
The alleyway,
Yeah, so-
right. So we're
okay.
moving forward with the alleyway vacation between the Gonzalez and Ruga property today and continuing the Palmetto vacation petition.
Thanks.
Mr. Burton?
No objection from staff.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
You're done for now?
Yes, sir.
We do have one person on Zoom who wanted to comment. Carlos Figueroa. And Mr. Figueroa, if you'll raise your hand in the Zoom application or press *9 so that we can unmute you to speak. All right. I'm still showing that he's muted. Is that on our end or is that on his end?
He'll have to unmute on his end.
Mr. Figueroa, if you'll unmute. And now we've lost him. All right, if he gets back on, we'll come back to him. Otherwise, commissioners need further staff presentation, or is there a motion for Commissioner Eggers?
Yeah, I'd just go ahead and move a motion to vacate the 10-foot right-of-way and to continue the vacation of Palmetto to date certain February 22nd.
We have a motion by Commissioner Eggers, second by Commissioner Seal. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like size. Passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Onks. Thank you, folks, for being here for that. All right, item number 5, citizens to be heard. And we have a few folks with us this morning and a few online. We'll begin with Mr. Todd Pressman, and you'll have 3 minutes. Mr. Pressman, are you here?
Yeah, apparently out there.
All right, we'll come back to him. Next, Julie Vane. Julie Vane or Wayne? All right, we'll go back to Mr. Pressman. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Commissioner. Sorry for that delay. Happy New Year. We appreciate you all being here today. This request is very similar to what your Board of Adjustments typically looks at as a separation issue. They evaluate these type of separation issues for many, many years. They have a lot of experience with it. So our request, yes, sir.
Why don't you tell us what you're talking about? If you're talking, it sounds like you're talking about a specific agenda item when this is citizens to be heard. I just want to make sure.
I signed up for number 28.
Okay.
But not for citizens to speak for number 28 when it came up. So I'm not sure why that is in the record for citizens to speak.
I'll let you go back to the other
Thank
room.
you.
We'll call you back at that item. And if you'll reset the clock. Is there Julie Wayne? She coming? All right. Dianeveda? Dianeveda? We're going to have to get together before the meeting so I understand what those hand signals mean. I don't know what that means. Karen Garrett. Karen Garrett. Good morning. Welcome. You'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Actually, Diane was supposed to speak before me. She is my friend and neighbor. So I was going to piggyback off of her. My name is Karen Garrett. I have the privilege of living on Honeymoon Island. I am the chairperson of the Neighborhood Watch Committee, amongst other things there. We look at Honeymoon Island as a beautiful, beautiful place to live and place for people to visit. Obviously, a couple years ago, the state park had over 1.3 million visitors. We get a lot of traffic there and on the causeway. The problem has come in that with changes in laws, and things are different here than where I come from in the north. Dogs are allowed anywhere and everywhere here, and it's starting to cause a problem. It certainly has caused a huge problem in the community in which I live on Honeymoon Island. However, there are also problems on the causeway. There are signs that are clearly posted on the causeway that say, "No dogs allowed on the beach, only on Pinellas Trail." The problem is that people do not follow the rules. They don't read the signs, they don't see the signs, or possibly they're illiterate, which I doubt. They are there to have a wonderful time with their friends, their families, and their dogs. They're also supposed to be by Florida law leashed, and oftentimes they are not. They are relieving themselves on the beach, they are unleashed, and this is supposed to be a family-friendly place to come. It is a very popular place to come. People from around Florida, people from around the United States, and people from around the world visit there. There are people who fear dogs. My friend that will speak next is highly allergic to dogs, and it has kind of gotten out of control. Now, the Pinellas County Sheriff's Department is right down the road from us, and we love that. But we don't feel comfortable calling them every time we see a dog running on the beach, which they're not supposed to be. And they also fixed the north side of the beach up, which is heavily visited as well. They have much bigger fish to fry, I know, but maybe we can find a way to cut back on the number of dogs that are on that beach that are not supposed to be, and on top of it, they're not leashed. So I was in the state park on Sunday with my husband, and they have put up new signs. No words. People from other countries, people who don't read, would have the opportunity to look at the sign and go, I know what that means, because it's a dog with a cross through it or a line through it. It's very, very obvious that there are to be no dogs there. They have a special place for dogs there. So I would like to advocate for some new signs, because the other ones do nothing. I'm sure they have good intention when they were put up, but they don't read them, and they're not very cooperative. The Sheriff's Department does heavily patrol that area, but at the same time, I don't think they care about the dogs that much that are running on the beach and running unleashed. And I understand that. So my time's up. Thank you for listening, and maybe you will take into consideration some of those things.
Thank you, Ms. Garrett. We appreciate you bringing this to us.
Have a nice day.
John Shaw. John Shaw.
Yes, sir.
Good morning. If you come forward, introduce yourself. You'll have 3 minutes.
My name is John Shaw, and I would encourage the commission here to consider the term limits that Commissioner Eggers proposed before. The bill was passed in the 1990s. The court proceedings took a long time and resolved that it was not unconstitutional. This body can go back to that and put it into play. If this commission does not do that, I can promise you there will be a citizens' effort that's being organized to get the signatures, get it put on the ballot again, and I suspect that you will not be as happy with what the citizens do versus what you can do. And I simply encourage you to take a hard look at it and know there's a lot of support in this community for term limits in the county commission. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. We appreciate you being here this morning. Julie Wayne, did I understand? Good morning. If you come forward, introduce yourself. You'll have 3 minutes.
Good morning. My name's Julie Vane. I live in States Terrace. I came and saw you all at a workshop a couple months ago, where you had an agenda item, term limits. And I had pleaded with you to not make the voters do what they've already done, which is put a ballot referendum on stating term limits for county commissioners. I'd asked you all to do that so that you wouldn't have to put the voters through what they've already been through, which is collecting signatures and going out and talking to their community members who are overwhelmingly in favor of term limits. Doesn't matter what party, Democrat, Republican, nonpartisan, Green, they don't care. They want to have new people, new blood in positions. And you all know that. You know that. But you chose to ignore us, think that we didn't care enough to do the work. Well, we do care enough to do the work again. So this is our notice to you that we're doing it. You guys had an opportunity. Some of you aren't even looking at me. You had an opportunity, but you won't even give us the kindness and the courtesy to pay attention. It's amazing. You had a chance and you blew it. Now we can do it for you. I don't think you're going to like it because we're not going to be so favorable in how we set up the question. And frankly, you all can't be trusted at this point. Even if you came out of this meeting and said, oh, we're going to do it, we're going to do it. We couldn't trust you because you had the opportunity. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
David Ballard Geddes Jr.
Hi, good morning, Commissioners. David Ballard Geddes Jr. I live on Georgia Avenue in Palm Harbor. Florida is divided into 5 water districts. Pinellas County is located within the Southwest Florida Water Management District. Based on this commission meeting last month on December 7th, agenda item number 41, the County Commission has engaged itself in redistricting the county within an already established water district. The redistricting of the county ultimately is not redistricting, but the developing of individual jurisdictions within the district. The county redistricting, in reality, is giving shape to and privatizing individual despotic water jurisdictions. This jurisdiction is misperceived as a district not exceeding 10 miles square in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 of our current Constitution, and is disguised locally as form-based code downtown redevelopment. Basing itself on deliberate inadequacies currently existing within the county downtown form-based code redevelopment has deceptively given rise to itself on purposeful county neglect and past broken code in an attempt to shapeshift local city government into a politically laundered water jurisdiction veiled in a quid pro quo agreement with the water district. The downtown redevelopment is not redistricting, but is the insurrection of a private internal third-party water jurisdiction intent on levying the equity from civilian-owned property to pay for infrastructure scheming, directly taxing the civilians to pay for blighted infrastructure conditions that were controlled contrived legislatively as an objective to invoke such undertaking. Such jurisdictional taxes are not based on the census as depicted by the county, but are derived from the enumeration clause of Article 1, Section 2 of our current Constitution, which bases the 14th Amendment in the ill-conceived birthing of water jurisdictions. Thank you.
Dianeveda.
Thank you. My name is Dianeveda. I'm the president of the Royal Stewart Arms community of 55 and over, approximately on a good winter, 900 people. And I have the pleasure of every morning since 2015 to walk the beach. As been stated by my neighbor, the Dianeveda Causeway, since the opening of past COVID and opening of the beach, has now turned into a dog park. Every day, 2 to 3 dogs are either running up and down the beach. On the north side, they keep them unleashed. I don't know why, but on the south side, there are some that run in and out of the water catching frisbees. This is a family beach, and I always think about the kids playing in the sand the very next day. The signage that you have along the causeway is way too wordy. You have things that says dogs allowed on the Pinellas County Trail only, but not on the beach. I ask you to please simplify these signs to make it easier for people to read and understand. No dogs on beaches. Also, since the beach has now been open, we've had several issues with people getting hit by bikes on the bridges. And I've pointed this out to the bridge masters. Perhaps if we can have signs on the bridges, please walk your bikes on bridges. Less people will be hit by cyclists riding the bikes on the bridges. If you've walked that bridge, you know it's very narrow in several parts. And on weekends, there's a lot of pedestrian traffic. We certainly want people to enjoy the walks, but we don't want them to get that run-down feeling from a Schwinn. So please, if you can look at putting up signs on the bridges, walk bikes on bridges, then everyone will be able to enjoy the causeway. And help people with no domestic animals. If I had $1 for every time I asked someone, no domestic animals on the beach, I would have to explain to them, domestic is a dog. It's not a housekeeper. So thank you very much.
Next, Barbara Hazelton. Good morning. Will you come forward and introduce yourself? You'll have 3 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Barbara Hazelton, and I live in St. Petersburg. Excuse me. I'm here today because seeking term limits for Pinellas County Commissioners is not a partisan issue. In fact, 25 years ago, when the citizens of Pinellas County passed a ballot question after a group calling itself 8 is Enough collected 48,000 signed petitions to get that question on the ballot, 73% of the people passed it. That crosses party lines. And as you know, the ruling class of elected officials in Pinellas of 1996 organized a legal challenge and drug it out for years, defeating the intent of the people. But here's what we all know. The intent of the people was clear as to what they wanted to be the law in Pinellas. 8 is enough. The majority of our county commissioners don't care about the effort that these citizens invested. They scoffed last month when this was recently brought forward by Commissioner Eggers, asking them to consider finally fixing by giving citizens simply a chance to vote again. Their arrogant reaction is why we are all here today. The lack of term limits for the ruling class of Pinellas County is affecting us all in our pocketbooks with higher taxes, our diminishing quality of life, rising crime, sewage spills, high-density apartments popping up all over the county, planned road capacity loss to force us out of our cars and into public transit PSTA. We live in paradise, under attack by people in charge who have visions of turning Pinellas County into Miami or Detroit. We don't know. Whether you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent, it doesn't matter. Recently, this commission hired a County Commissioner, Barry Burton. I apologize for my voice. In an article I found in the Chicago Sun-Times, Barry came from a community where he had 700,000 residents with a budget of $500 million. And here we have $2.5 billion budget with 930,000. We're getting hosed. I have in my hand something was delivered to me last night by my attorney, which is the petition for 8 is enough for term limits. This is a draft, and we're going to go forward with it. Lots of people are already contacting me and other people on the committee, and we're ready to go forward. If you would like to get help, you can contact me at my email, which is bhaselde@tampabay.r.com. We will be creating more communication soon. So the next general meeting, we would like to simply see you bring this forth, not the workshop, the general meeting, put it on the ballot, on the agenda, so that you can take action on it, discuss it. You guys work out what you think is fair, and we'll let you know if we like it. Thank you.
Vincent Nowicki. Vincent Nowicki. Good morning. If you come forward, you'll have 3 minutes. I don't know if I got your name.
Yeah, Nowicki, Vincent Nowicki. Hey. Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me. Thank you, commissioners. First off, I'd like you all to imagine you were all employers and you just made a new hire. And now you're starting to have problems with that employee. They're becoming a nightmare. They stopped listening to you. They started using the job to line their own pockets. They took the company credit card and racked up debt more than what you could afford. And they become obsessed with keeping their job rather than doing their job. If you're a responsible person, this would enrage you that you have an employee like this. And now imagine this employee comes to you in 40 years and says, I want a raise. In our Constitution, the first 3 words are we the people. And we the people are in charge of you all. We're the employers. The county commissioner organizational chart has citizens at the top, and then the county commissioners. So I come to you with a message. The people of Pinellas County strongly support term limits. Voters have enacted term limit laws at the ballot box in 1996. The voters of Pinellas County, by over 72%, approved an 8-year term limit for the county commissioners, though the Pinellas County Board of County Commissioners failed to include the legal term limit language into the charter. We started off with an invocation that said, where's the justice? Justice for all. Where's the justice for the 72% of voters who said yes to term limits? In counties where term limits are in effect, for county commissioners, voters have more choices at the ballot box. They have equality in a number of candidates who are willing to represent the public. Term limits decrease in influence of lobbyists and special interests who have too much power in our present system. Term limits ensure greater fiscal responsibility and lower taxes. The longer politicians stay in office, the more our tax dollars they spend. It surprised me that some of you have been in office for 20 years or are 70 plus years old. I'm probably the youngest person in this room. Term limits reduce corruption and open our government to new people with new ideas to solve our county's problems. Too few have the courage to address the real issues. And I ask you to do what your predecessors failed to do and enact term limits and honor the voters in 1996. This is a nonpartisan issue. Republicans are for this, Democrats are for this, and independents are for this. And I'll leave you with this. I don't think any of you want anything in common with the communist president in China. He also has no term limits, and neither do you. Bring term limits to the county commission, and don't be like the communist dictator in China. Thank you.
Doreen McKinnon. Doreen McKinnon. Good morning. If you come forward, you'll have 3 minutes to address the board.
Good morning. During your recent October the 7th work session,
Commissioners Long and Gerard stated that Pinellas County residents don't want term limits, with Commissioner Long going so far as to claim she and Commissioner Gerard haven't heard from anyone who wants term limits, despite the inconvenient fact that Commissioner Long was one of the members of the 2015 Charter Review Committee, where 73 Pinellas County residents called for putting term limits on the ballot for residents to vote on. State Representative Larry Ahern even called in from Tallahassee to make the motion, which no one seconded. Commissioner Long herself pledged in 2015, when running for her second term, that she wanted one more term and no more. I am here today to make darn sure that you can hear us now. And we are no longer asking you for term limits. We are going to impose them on you. And the reason that I got up bright and early today to speak to you on this topic is because the County Commission seems far more interested in chocking Pinellas County full of brand new apartments, even as you neglect your most basic responsibilities to the current residents. Last year, while some of you bragged about spending $80 million of penny funding, which translates into building about 5,000 brand new taxpayer subsidized apartments, you spent nothing from the penny on increasing the sewage infrastructure to go along with all those brand new apartments. Nothing. This is while your two plants, the South Cross Bayou and the William E. Dunn sewage plants, have reported 37,789,169 gallons of sewage dumped into Pinellas County since 2017. For just last year, those two plants alone spewed 750,244 gallons of raw or partially treated sewage. And so far this year, the South Cross Bayou just reported another 350 gallons spewed into Madeira Beach. You are the biggest polluters in Pinellas County, and like your partners in wastewater control, all of you seem to be more interested in using your tax base to build without sufficient sewage infrastructure to manage the current residential load. Last year, a grand total of $1,620,000. Oh, well, okay, thanks.
Thank you for being here. Stephen Lang? Stephen Lang.
I'm here on the term limits issue. Good morning. My name is Steve Lang. I live in St. Pete, and I'm a licensed architect and realtor, which will go to some of what I'm going to say here today. I have in my hands today the government operational chart, which you see the citizens are at the top of the page. Over everyone in every department. That is as it should be, but it's not true. I'll now turn the organizational chart upside down, and this is how it is. This is how it is. In essence, the commission and all of its tentacles that influence every board, like the PSTA, the MPO, and the Charter Review Committee, and so on, are basically rubber stamping the actions of the commission and vice versa. Many of you on several of these boards advancing the same pet projects that the citizens never voted on or want for the direction of our community. In fact, you're engaged in development projects which we, the people, repeatedly told you we do not want. You listen, you hear us, and then you actively thwart those very efforts. Can you remember no tax for tracks? Not long ago, we defeated you in the PSTA by a vote of 62%. Of the countywide voters against your light rail proposal and the Packham and Stackham high-density housing and the massive sales tax increase that we would have had to pay for it all. Remember all those empty buses? Still empty. In fact, since ridership is down, but then you thwarted the citizens again by blocking and blacking out the windows so we couldn't see that the buses were empty. That's thwarting the public will. Now you are attempting to institute the same high-density development and zoning changes while Pinellas County builds approximately 5,000 Packham and Stackham apartments from the money from Pinellas. Nobody voted for that. All while you close down vehicular driving lanes for 1 and 2 bicycles to use the bike lanes. It is upside down. You're increasing the density and you're increasing the intensity of our community while you're closing down traffic lanes, which is only going to cause more congestion. And soon you will open up the bus rapid transit and dedicated lanes on East, West Central Avenue throughout thoroughfare that we rejected the same idea as a train. But the BRT is just a prelude to you all getting your train system someday. At least that's what you'd like to do. Can you say countywide BRT, bus rapid transit, which like buses no one will use save a very few? I'm tired of the monarchical attitudes, the demigod speech making about how you know best. You don't, we do. We've told you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here this morning. We'll now go to our online citizens participating. First this morning on Zoom, Aiden Barnes.
Hello, my name is Aiden Barnes. My address is 10240 127th Avenue, Largo. And there are 3 topics I'd like to address today, including supply chain issues, Ready for 100, and term limits. First off, in October, there was a speaker who addressed the board on supply chain issues. In that meeting, it was said that we could see worsening supply chain issues in Pinellas in the near future. I'd like to know how this will impact Pinellas citizens in our day-to-day lives. So if you could give us some updates on the current and anticipated supply chain issues, along with strategies on how it will be addressed, that would be appreciated. Another concern I have is for the Ready for 100 program. This is a major transition, completely eliminating gas, oil, and coal to 100% in Pinellas. I do appreciate Commissioner Eggers for advocating for the citizens. He petitioned the board at that time to add wording to the policy to make sure that low-cost energy can remain available during the phase-out. But I was disappointed that his request was refused. So I'm concerned about this 100% transition away from gas, coal, and oil. I'm not even sure that many citizens are aware of what this Ready for 100 program is or what it means, but I would like the board to discuss how Ready for 100 will impact residents, especially since the goal is to be at a 50% transition by 2030, from what I understand. Okay, and third, I'd like to talk about term limits. There have been some great speakers today on term limits. Term limits has been such a hot topic in Pinellas for so many years. I was encouraged to hear about the citizen initiative called 8 is Enough, which was successfully completed over 25 years ago by citizens and passed by 73%. That's an overwhelming majority. If term limits is put on the ballot again, I strongly believe it will have similar results, with citizens reaching across the aisle to pass this initiative as a nonpartisan issue. Term limits would benefit the citizens of Pinellas in 3 ways. It would increase voter participation, citizen involvement, and the number of Pinellas County residents who could have an opportunity to run for office. Currently, incumbents hold county commission seats for decades. Government seats should not be reserved for the wealthy. All citizens should have the right to serve, including those who can relate to the needs of the common and average citizen. That way they can carry out the will of the people, not decide things for them. I was born and raised right here in Pinellas. I grew up in South St. Pete, then Bay Pines, and bought a house of my own in Largo going on 15 years ago. Pinellas is my home. I want my kids to be able to buy homes and raise families here. But with this current ruling class mentality of high taxes and limited representation, that's going to be a major obstacle for the next generation. It did not used to be like that. This is not the Pinellas I was raised in. This has happened in recent years. I truly believe that term limits can solve the problem. Thank you very
Ms.
much.
Barnes. Thank you. Sherry Fiorenzo, if you will raise your hand so we can unmute. Good morning. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, Sherry Fiorenzo, Largo. I've had many conversations with different people in our community, and I always make sure to tell them that every county commissioner except for Commissioner Peters and Eggers voted to raise our property taxes during the pandemic. You closed our small businesses and then taxed us more, and that in part is why rents have gone up also, because the landlord passes that tax on to renters. The tax increase was unnecessary as Pinellas County was not in debt. Many people don't realize this, and I like to share this info because it gets people talking and motivated for change. We need to find ways to stop spending our tax money and stop raising taxes on us. Please add that to your agenda as something to work on. People can't afford much these days. There are many out there who can't afford to buy a sheet of plywood to cover their windows if a hurricane comes. And the price of gas over this last year has been a drain on our pocketbooks. In my conversations with Pinellas County residents, I also bring up term limits. Everyone I've spoken to thinks there should be term limits. Elections are not always changing the seat because of several factors, such as incumbent name recognition, big donor contributions, lobbyists, and probably a bit of ignorance at who our local representatives are and what they do. But I think COVID has and is still waking people up about how local government is run. People are now interested in watching and learning. Fresh voices and periodic changeovers of elected officials would be a good thing. The last time term limits was up for discussion, 73% of residents were for term limits. Pinellas County citizens should have the opportunity to vote on term limits. As commissioners, you work for us, not for yourself. Please bring it to the citizens to decide because we all know you would never vote yourself out of a job. Thank you.
Thank you. David Happy? I don't see you on the Zoom link. All right, moving on, we have by phone Ruth Troutman. And I don't see a Ruth Troutman on my participant list online. All right. And the last name I have, Jensen Schmidt. I see a Sandy Shields online. Nope. All right. That is all I have for those that have registered to speak to citizens to be heard. We will move on to the consent agenda, which is items 6 through 24. Does anyone have an item to be removed from consent? If not, is there a motion to approve? I'm sorry, Commissioner Eggers.
Yeah, I had asked.
Microphone.
Thank you. Yeah, given the nature of the dollar amount under the CVB, the new digital marketing service, the same thing with just an update on the Tampa Bay Innovation Center, I think would be good. So 20 and 21, I think are important. I did have a couple of others that I'll talk to Barry about individually, but I do have some concerns about the pier. I'd like to know more about that on 22, and I'd like to know a little bit more about the defibrillator issues on 24. And I also wanted to make comment that I truly appreciate our chief judge and his position on our I guess it's our coin account at the library, and suggested that we not have that anymore after investigation of use of those funds. He thinks that it's not worthwhile keeping, so I think that was his recommendation. I think it was a good one. So Barry, if we can at least have a presentation or at least an update on 2021, and then just maybe a comment on 22 and 24, please. Thank you.
So do you want to pull
2021, 22, and 24.
All right, so recommendation to approve the rest. Motion by Commissioner Gerard, second by Commissioner Flowers for the remainder. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Show it passes unanimously. All right, item number 20.
Mr. Chairman, also we have Dr. Cho here. If we could move him up so he could get back to work prior to.
Yeah, I apologize. Yeah, I had that on my list. Let's hold off on the items 20 and go back. Mr. Administrator, go ahead.
Commissioners, last Thursday I gave you kind of an update on the new variant and with COVID, and so several of the questions were more technical in nature, and so I had asked Dr. Cho to come over and just provide a brief update regarding our current situation and can answer some of the more specific questions you may have. So, Dr. Cho.
Good morning. Welcome.
Morning. So I'll start with a little bit of background and what we're seeing in terms of trends, in terms of the hospitalizations. I'm sure we've been watching the news. We are unfortunately seeing another uptick, another wave within COVID due to the Omicron variant. It's obviously a trickier bug that's more contagious, that has a better ability to evade the immune system. But a little bit of good news is that it does appear to be less severe. And if the models are similar to what we've seen in other parts of the world, that it should have a quick rise and a quick descent as well. So something that we'll be monitoring. However, just given of how contagious it has impacted not only the healthcare system, but really anywhere in the public and the private sector, given the number of people out due to sickness, as well as caring for those loved ones. Now, in terms of the trends, we have seen a pretty good spike in terms of our case counts. Last week, we reported over 11,000, compared to about 3 weeks ago, which was only at 573. Our percent positivity was 25.6%, up from 2.8% just about 3 to 4 weeks ago. We're seeing it mainly in the 20 to 29s. That's the number one age group, followed by the 30 to 39. There has been a number of models out there that does show that it may peak as early as sometime this week or till the end of the month, but I'm hopeful that we'll be peaking shortly. So in terms of the hospitalizations, we did have a call with all the hospital partners yesterday. They have also seen an increase in their hospitalized patients. In all total, it looked like about 450 to 500 individuals hospitalized with COVID. It also appeared that the majority were unvaccinated, especially if you go to the intensive care, those that were intubated. The other thing that they've noticed in terms of the hospital patterns is that about 25 to 40% were incidental findings, meaning they came for a different reason, and through their screening exams did catch COVID as it turned positive, which is really not unexpected given how prevalent it is in the community. The big issue that they reported are the staffing challenges, which really has been an ongoing issue throughout the pandemic. Just given the turnover that they've seen, as well as those out on sick leave. Our EMS partners have also reported increased call volume as well as wait times. But at this point, we aren't, fortunately for us, we're not seeing the same type of hospitalization numbers that we've seen for Delta. But again, we have not peaked at this point, so something we'll be watching. Obviously, in terms of testing, that there's a demand for testing in the community. We've worked with partners, and we do have 2 large community testing sites located at the Center for Health Equity in St. Petersburg, as well as Largo. They're averaging about 1,000 to 1,100 per day at each site. You may have also saw on the news that there is a state initiative to push out the testing kits to our long-term care facilities that had started, I believe, at the end of last week. Now, here in Pinellas County, we did have a few access to some of the kits, and since August of this past year, we have given about 85,000 kits to places like long-term care facilities, group homes, rehab centers, fire EMS, among other partners. And then lastly, the vaccines. Our message really hasn't changed throughout the pandemic or since the vaccine's been available, that it still remains the first line in terms of preventing severe outcomes. It is readily available. We have outreach teams available at the health department, performing about 10 to 15 outreaches a week if needed. And boosters, despite how Omicron can evade the immune system, is still effective in preventing severe hospitalizations. And in terms of our vaccine numbers, in Pinellas County, 62% of our total population is vaccinated, with about 40% of our population boosted. So with that, we're going to continue to push our vaccine efforts, stay home when you're sick. And with that, I'll stop there and take any questions you may have.
Commissioner Eggers. Thank you. Microphone.
Thanks. Thank you, Dr. Cho. Appreciate the update and the full description of what we're seeing now, which is obviously different than it was for Delta as well as the original one. What other kinds of colds and flus are we seeing now? I mean, all we hear about, it seems like no matter what is happening to people, they feel immediately that it's Omicron. So what other things? Are we seeing upticks in flu? Are we seeing the normal colds coming back? Remember a year ago, they were all in deep decline because most people were staying at home. How are we seeing those two areas increase?
Fair enough. So our surveillance unit does monitor that pretty carefully. A few months ago, we did have an uptick in the rhinovirus, which is the most common cause of cold. The flu activities is something that we do on an ongoing basis, and right now it's currently mild activity, so we have not seen an uptick in flu at this time. Keeping in mind that the flu seasons in Florida are variable, it can peak any time in January and February.
Yeah, and just two other quick questions. One, what are the primary symptoms for this? What would you say the primary symptoms of this Omicron are?
A lot of it has been more mild symptoms. The primary ones that's been really reported has been more the sore throat, upper respiratory type of symptoms, runny nose, congestions as well. I am aware of an animal study with this Omicron variant that it has a higher tendency to infect the upper airways rather than the lower airways or the lungs.
So, in a lot of ways it sounds, there's a lot of similar symptoms as a cold. Right. Which kind of leads me to the last question I have, which is about testing. And we have one in Mid-County, we have one in South County, we have no public, I couldn't find a spot in North County, and I understand that. I understand that we haven't been able to find it. I don't like it because I think with this particular flu, I call it flu cold virus, that it seems like when people get a symptom, the first thing you want to do is go get a test, and they're having a hard time finding it. So what are you seeing as far as supplies at the private locations for these? Because I know the other day a couple of friends of mine said they couldn't find any anywhere in North County. And it is a convenience thing. It is trying to get a test while they're conducting their life. You know what I'm saying? So what's the the latest on the available supply of tests at our private locations?
Okay. So testing throughout the state as well as nation has really been trying. I know the ones at home tests are in short supply, so definitely something that we're going to continue to monitor and work with our partners. We do continue to refer to both our health department and county sites for the testing locations, as well as pharmacies that do test, such as CVS and Walgreens. But it can be a challenge at times. That's why we do try to ensure the resources that are available and push individuals to go to those testing sites.
So no plans in your mind for the smaller location testing sites that we did before? Remember the neighborhood testing sites that we tried to do occasionally at different locations?
Not at this time. And a lot of it is probably driven also by the supply issues as well.
But I do think this is an issue as it relates to spreading, because folks, they don't know if they have a cold or they don't know if they can't get tested. Right. And it's a bit of a haul down to Mid-County for some of the folks in North County. So whatever you can do, keep us up to date on the supplies of issues and kind of so we can pass the word out to folks. Thank you, Dr. Cho.
Will do. Any further questions? Commissioner Flowers.
Thank you, Commissioner. There was recently an article in the newspaper that talked about the number of tests that were located at the state level, and those tests had been held there, and they were expired tests now. And there was a question, I think, being posed as to whether or not the date for utilizing those test kits to test could be extended. Have you heard anything about that?
I can't speak on the state stockpile. It's just what I can say is when we do keep for our standpoint any kits that we may get. Something we keep an eye on. The other thing that the companies have done is they looked at through their tests how long they can extend it at room temperature, if it was kept at room temperature, and what they've done in the past extended by, I believe, is no more than 3 months. So we do continue to work with the pharmaceutical companies, the Abbotts, to see if they are willing to extend those expiration dates.
And do you have any information as it relates to the additional test kits that are supposed to be released by the federal government for testing?
Not at this time, other than what you've probably heard too. I think there will be a website, I believe, available that someone can go into and request them when it does go live.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further? I think Commissioner Eggers' point about the, when do you get, not only the availability, but purely when do you get tested? You have a feeling of a cold, and I saw in one of the news programs that if you feel like you have a cold, just assume you have the Omicron. Is that a good path to go, or?
There's probably a difference of opinions on that as well, but given the prevalence of disease and how much it is, I mentioned it was 25% in terms of percent positivity, so it is out there. If you've been exposed and if you've been in contact with someone that's COVID, and there's a high chance, and you started developing the symptoms, there is a very good chance you have COVID. So in terms of it would be the same precautions in terms of quarantine and isolating yourself.
And then the monoclonal treatments that we have available in Pinellas County, is that, do you need a doctor prescription to receive those treatments, or how does that happen?
So the monoclonal treatments are run by the CDR. I believe there is an online application where they can go in on that. I know right now they have the Regeneron Eli Lilly product. Studies have shown that they may have some minimized activity against the Omicron. I know the state's working on things like getting the other newer one called sotrovimab that does have more efficacy against Omicron. The other thing that I'm keeping an eye on is the oral virals you may have heard of. There was a product by both Pfizer and the Merck. Right now, I don't believe nationally there's a huge stockpile of them or a huge supply, but once the state gets it, it'll hopefully be distributed to the commercial pharmacies. So that's something that I'm keeping an eye on.
Very good. Anything further?
Yeah, one more quick
Commissioner
question.
Eggers?
Yeah, just on what you were saying a little bit. If you bump into somebody who calls you later and said maybe the next day or two that they have Omicron, so that you were potentially exposed, how long should you wait to get tested? I've heard that if you do it too soon, it's going to come up negative likely, and then you've missed the opportunity to find out if you have it. And then, assuming you don't get symptoms, should you still test?
Right. So you brought up a very good point. I think the error everybody makes is assume the same day you're exposed, or the same day you're exposed that you get tested. The body, it unfortunately needs to build up if you do develop the infection a few days. I think the CDC guidance does recommend about 5 days if you're going to test. But Omicron does act faster, so it can show us positive or symptoms as early as 3 days. But I would wait at least 4 to 5 days at the earliest, just to ensure that you're not missing what we call the incubation period. In terms of the testing, the state did provide some guidance on testing. If you're not symptomatic, they don't recommend testing. The CDC also with the quarantine does recommend testing at 5 days if possible. So it's something that I suggest you talk to your physician about. And if you get the test, if you do choose to get testing, we just want to make sure that you have the testing sites available.
So if you wait 3 to 5 days and you still don't have symptoms, probably okay not to get tested.
Right.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Thank you very much. Hope we don't bring you back for a while.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Cho.
Thanks, Dr. Cho.
All right. Back to item number 20, Commissioner Eggers.
Now, I just when I was looking at the I think the spend, I just was hoping that we could get just very short presentation on the dollar amounts that are proposed, and even given what's going on in this current state of the world, where we are with this package proposal. Steve, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Commissioner Eggers. Steve Hayes with Visit St. Pete, Clearwater, and I sound worse than I actually probably am. In regards to the item item on the agenda, which is our digital marketing service, Just a little bit of history with this. Commissioner Seal, you are correct. We've actually utilized Miles Media, started back in 2014. They've actually did web work for us early on, but it was just website. But 2014 is when they came on board. The current contract that they're in started in 2017, and then this one is the one that will go through and move forward. The review process, we had 4 companies that bid on this project. Of the 4 companies, there was an evaluation committee that included not only members of Visit St. Pete Clearwater, but also 3 individuals from the outside that looked at each of the vendors and rated them accordingly in working with purchasing. From there, Miles was the clear winner from that. I think there was about a 159-point difference between them and the second place. And I think it was a testament to the work that they have done with us over the years. In fact, the folks that were outside VSPC made the comment that even they were addressing things from a strategic standpoint, which shows that they're really on top of what's happening within our industry. We go through and look at really the 3 areas for the cost of this, and it goes back, and one of the costs was looking at the media aspect of it, the production, and then really the operational side as it relates to the website. On the media side, roughly about 63% of the contract goes to the media. This is what we're buying to help tell our story, whether that's through Expedia, TripAdvisor, Sojourn, Juno. There's a number of outlets out there, and for those that have watched the TDC meetings or been on the TDC recently, the data that we have that can go back and show the results from the digital side of everything. On the production of that media, you're looking at roughly about 16% of the cost. So this is for them to go through, whether it's the artwork, whether it's going through and the account management of it, which is about standard when you look at an agency relationship. And the remaining roughly 21%, that is going into what we call operational, search engine optimization, search engine marketing, video, site operations, as well as any new things that we do with the site. So if we're going through and expanding it, we've just recently redid our site. The next iteration of this is we're going through our microsites. So whether it's be film, sports, international, travel, trade, redoing those sites so that it matches up with the current site and how it goes through and looks. And again, on the media side for the digital, really we go through on that. And again, over the life of this contract, we bump it up a little bit each year because I think we make more of that investment on the digital side. But we also do that based on results. So we will look at what's producing and then make adjustments accordingly in the budget from there. In addition, we'll also go through, there's going to be new apps, there's going to be new things that come up that today don't exist, but 3 years from now very well may, and so we need to be prepared for that. And then again, it also overlaps what we do traditionally because again, there's a set process with this to help tell our complete story. I hope I was able to cover all the questions, but I'd be happy to answer anything else that might be there.
Further questions?
Yeah, just real quick on the media that you talk 63% of that budget, which again, you're talking about 32 million, so it's close to 20 million probably of that. What media source are we using that mostly and that we're buying, the stuff that we're buying? Where do you see it being used mostly? And then the second question is, what's the split locally, nationally versus international?
So let me go back to where we're spending it. And I don't have off the top of my memory detail of the specific buy, but I can tell you that you're looking at like your Expedias, your TripAdvisors, Sojourn, there is also Adara. There's a number of different outlets. Again, what we will go through and look at is what will hit our target audience at the given time, and then look at what results have we have seen in the past and say, is that something that we need to continue, or do we need to stop and redirect? When it comes down to the audience, I mean, it typically is a nationally based audience. However, I can tell you that we're doing more and more international. And then locally, we did a little bit, but that has not been a major focus for us.
Okay. I think that answers most of my questions. Thank you, Steve.
Anyone else? Motion to approve? Motion by Commissioner Gerard, second by Commissioner Long on item 20. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Show it passes unanimously. Item 21. Commissioner Eggers.
Yeah, Barry, you know, this is just one of these, this is an ongoing saga that we've had over the last 4 years, and we're getting closer and closer and closer. And I just wanted to just get a brief update on this one.
Go ahead, Dr. Johnson.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Cynthia Johnson with Economic Development. Just wanted to give you all a brief update on what's happening with the Tampa Bay Innovation Center. But as it relates to the ratification notice that you have today, that came as part of the rising cost of the additional $3.8 million we needed. And then we had staff to contact EDA regarding the additional $3.8 million. And we did that in 9/23. EDA gave us verbal direction that we could apply for the $3.8 million, but we had a short turnaround, so it was a time restraint. So the county administrator signed the application documents for us, and then we submitted that to the EDA. We got a ratification done on 10/26, and again, due to time restraints, we actually got the application, and those documents came in. So the item before you today is to confirm the award documents that we actually have. And so that's to put those documents into the minutes. And we received notice from the contractor, from you, that we can proceed with the contractor. So right now, where we are with the TBIC is we are in the process of having the contractor to prepare the site for work. We're looking to get started on the site very soon. We have a ceremonial groundbreaking scheduled for February the 15th. Each of you should have received a save the date notice. We are working with the city of St. Petersburg. We're also working with Kathy Woods and her team to be there at the groundbreaking. And right now, I'm working with Tanya to make sure that we have the leasing agreement and the operations agreement in order. So we're working with legal on that as well. Right now, Tanya and the TBIC, her and her board are working on the $1.5 million that we have left in order to outfit the FF&E for the location. But right now, where we are with the building is moving forward. Everything is looking really good. All of our players are in place, and that's kind of where we are at this point, and I'll answer any questions.
Any questions for Dr. Johnson?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Did you want to go? Just the drawings themselves, have they been submitted to the city then?
Yes, we have, all of the renderings have been submitted by the agency, as well as we also have copies of those drawings as part of the documentation that we keep.
So we're just waiting for feedback from the building department in St. Petersburg for the permitting?
Yes,
Okay.
We're going through that process right now, absolutely.
Okay. Any issues that were?
No,
Okay.
the city has been wonderful to work with. Our construction company is working also very closely with our department, meaning the county, working with the county to make sure that we help facilitate any of that activity, and we haven't had any issues as of yet.
And then one final question: the time to construct is about. Once it gets started, what are you looking at?
We're anticipating have the building ready for tenants by July of 2023.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson.
You're welcome.
Appreciate the update.
Commissioner
Thank you.
Flowers?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to, again, say thank you, Dr. Johnson, for working. I know I've had conversations with Tanya's and others on the team about making sure that we kind of put some fire in this. And I also want to thank staff. I know we had conversations last year about the fact that the costs for construction had increased because as we have moved on with time, materials, labor, all of that increased. So I am really excited that we actually have received this award. I have every expectation based on the information I've been given for the partners that are coming on board. We'll be able to close that $1.8 million loophole in this. I'm really looking forward to the groundbreaking component piece. I know that's when Ms. Kathy Woods is available, so that's why we had to look at that date. So I'm really excited about that. And I also want to give a shout out and kudos to the previous City of St. Pete administration. I know that the mayor and Nikki Gaskin Capehart, who at that time was the director of the Urban Affairs Department, worked really hard to try to make sure things were smooth through the city, but also hold them accountable for the plans that they were submitting. And I look forward to having everything move forward and completing the project. I didn't see it. It may have come, but I did not see the email. I know there were some questions about when we had our community, when I had the community hosting, about the cost per square footage for persons to go into the facility, because there are your small minority and women-owned businesses who may not be able to afford the rate that they have to charge based on the type of programming that will go in there. But I didn't see any return information as to whether or not there could be some accommodation, even if one space was like split in half for two people to share that amount. So if you have an opportunity, can you maybe check with them to see if they did respond to that and I just missed it, or if it's something we can do?
Yes, Commissioner. One of the things that I'm working with Tanya and her team on is that operators agreement, and we're looking at the pro forma and looking at the cost of the facility. So I do know that it is actively being looked at and considered. All of the comments that was made at the community conversation are being taken into account as we go through that process, but I will follow up with Tanya and make sure that you get that information.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, no further questions. Is there a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Motion by Commissioner Flowers, second by Commissioner Long to take more money. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Show it passes unanimously. Thank you, Dr. Johnson.
Thank you. Have a good day.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Eggers.
Yeah, number 22.
22.
22 is the pier.
Yeah, seeing about close to $6 million for a new pier, and I tried to reach out to several folks that use it, or in South County. I don't frequent the park that often. And their question was, well, which pier are we talking about? And so I guess there's a couple piers. So I thought maybe just a brief update on what pier we're talking about, kind of what we're doing, and just a little background on it. Thank you.
This is the pier at the southern end of Fort DeSoto Park. It is the pier from which we do have fishing allowances. It is also the pier from which the Egmont and the Shell Key ferries run, which is why we were able to secure about $1 million to support the design for this particular reconstruction. The current pier has not had a renovation or rebuild since 2007. The project is a little under $5 million based upon the responsive bidder that you're being asked to award the contract to today. Construction time is a little over 1.5 years. We've addressed turtles and birds and all the environmental permitting requirements for this project. That was done while it was out to bid in August, so we're really very close to starting the project, assuming your approval today. And the only other thing that I would add is that we do have the pier, the hours are limited. We do not allow night fishing, for example. So, the activities are very different depending on whether you're camping or fishing or kayaking or what you're doing down at that park. I'm happy to try to answer any more questions, but that's the pier.
Okay, thanks. And the idea for the concrete pilings, the concrete, everything concrete, it sounds like, just for length of time, I guess.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And the lifetime of the improvements themselves.
It hasn't been that. It's always been wood.
I don't know the answer to that question.
Oh, Kelly's coming real quick.
No.
No? Okay. I have no idea.
It is currently concrete. There were some wooden catwalks that were in place at one point in time, but those are no longer there because of deterioration. So the current pier is concrete.
So that'll all come out, and we're building it right in the same place?
Correct, yes.
So for a year and a half, we'll have to wait?
In kind,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Further questions on this item? Is there a motion for approval? Motion by Commissioner Gerard, second by Commissioner Flowers. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Show it passes unanimously. Did you have one more?
Yeah, just last one on number 24, which was the monitor defibrillators and the servicing. So I just was curious about what we're having done here. Is it new? Is it just servicing? I just was curious, and it looks like you've opened the contract available, accessibility to our ambulance service as well. So thank you.
Good morning, Jim Fogarty. I'm the Director of Safety and Emergency Services. This is a scheduled replacement of the electrocardiograph monitor defibrillators that our system paramedics use aboard the ambulances and fire apparatus. It's a capital budget item that was planned. These have about an 8-year useful life expectancy. The ones that we have in the field today reach that life expectancy next month in February, and the manufacturer no longer services them. We can continue to operate them for a few months, but this is a planned replacement of the electrocardiograph. They're about $31,000 a piece, and there are about 160 of them on the fire apparatus and about 80 on the ambulances.
So they're all going to be taken at once and put...
Well, there's a all at once, yes, but we'll
Yeah.
have to sequence it
Yeah, I get you.
agency by agency. And we did run a competitive bidding process. There were 3 vendors that bid. There was a selection committee that included all of the end users, including the paramedics and the fire chiefs in the system.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate the update. Move approval.
Motion by Commissioner Egger, second by Commissioner Seal. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Show it passes unanimously. Moving on to our regular agenda, item number 25. Mr. Administrator, good morning.
Good morning. This is a purchase authorization for heavy and light duty vehicles. Yeah, if you recall, last month you had that. That was primarily the light duty vehicles. These are heavy duty vehicles. It's done in 2 phases. This is a budgeted replacement.
Move approval.
Motion by Commissioner Egger, second by Commissioner Flowers. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Show it passes unanimously. Item 26, Mr. Administrator.
This is Florida Job Growth Grant Fund application for St. Peter's Clearwater Airport. PIA is requesting state $10 million. There would be a local match. You also had a question last time regarding whether we could sell the land, and the answer is no because of the way it was provided. So.
Yeah, all that airport land is pretty locked in for a while.
It is.
Further questions?
Yes.
Commissioner Eggers.
Yes, so this is the Airco property that we're talking about primarily, right, Barry? And
Correct. Tom, come on up. And yes, it is, and this is just for one piece of that, but I'll let Tom explain it and
so that
exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, that 25 to 30 million is for essentially, it sounds like the infrastructure of that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's for the infrastructure, for fill, utilities, things of that nature.
So I guess just for clarification, this 25 to 30 million is essentially for horizontal development. It brings utilities, it raises the ground up a little bit so it's usable in a floodplain.
Yeah, that's correct. It would be both for aeronautical and non-aeronautical use.
Including the roadways, the general
Yes.
roadway system?
Correct.
Okay, so all of that, and horizontal stuff would be finished?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions, discussion? Is there a motion? Is there a second? Motion by Commissioner Gerard, second by Commissioner Flowers. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry. I heard the voice from the wilderness over on the side. I'm sorry. Motion by Commissioner Gerard, second by Commissioner Peters. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Show it passes unanimously. Item 27.
This resolution is approving the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee report related to the State Housing Initiatives Partnership Program for affordable housing incentives. And this is a recommendation to you by your appointed committee.
Are there questions, discussion? Motion by Commissioner Peters, second by Commissioner Flowers. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Show it passes unanimously. Item 28.
This resolution is assigning the review of requests to reduce the state distance requirements for medical marijuana treatment dispensing facilities from an elementary, middle, secondary, or private school to the Pinellas County Board of Adjustment and Appeals. I think the commission asked for a presentation on that. We have staff member Glenn Bailey here. He can certainly do that, and I know you have some public comment.
Mr. Bailey.
Good morning, Glenn Bailey, zoning manager. Yeah, the state preempts local governments regarding regulations over medical marijuana dispensaries. The county treats them the same way as we treat pharmacies or general retail uses. They're basically allowed anywhere retail is allowed, except the state law prohibits them from being located within 500 feet of a public or private school property. It's elementary school, middle school, or high schools. This applies to the property line, not the school building. However, the state statutes also say that they allow them to be closer if the local government holds a formal public hearing on the proposal. To approve, local government must determine that the proposed location promotes the public health, safety, and general welfare of the community. That's in the state statutes. And the county has received a request to approve the location of a dispensing facility within 500 feet of a private school. And it's staff's opinion the Board of Adjustment Appeals will be the appropriate county board to hear such a request. These distance requirements are similar to a variance which the BAA hears on a regular basis. For example, they would hear a variance from an alcohol dispensing, like a bar or something like that, within 500 feet of a school. So similar to that. And such cases will be publicly noticed like a variance and follow the same process. The Land Development Code provides the authority for the BAA to be assigned such reviews. And just a little history on it. To date, there are 30 dispensing facilities within the county. That's including incorporated and unincorporated. There are only 5 right now in the unincorporated, so this would be the 6th. None of those 30 are within 500 feet of a school, so this is the first one that I'm aware of. First one that's came to the unincorporated county for sure. Such requests, therefore, are expected to be very rare. They won't have much of an impact on our day-to-day business at all. Again, there's only 5 for however long this legislation has been in place, like 3 or 4 or 5 years, something like that. The county is not required to hear these cases. The board could choose not to allow dispensaries within 500 feet of schools, just not hear them at all. Just let the state statute stand, state requirement of 500 feet stand. Alternatively, the board itself, you could hear these cases if you so choose, instead of the Board of Adjustment. And if one of these options is preferred, staff can bring back an alternative resolution in February for your approval. It's whatever you want to. If you don't want to hear them at all, you want to decide yourselves, or you want to remand it to the Board of Adjustment.
This resolution would apply only to unincorporated, or to?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, only unincorporated. Commissioner Gerard.
So the state statute doesn't say it has to be the BCC, it can be the Board of Adjustment.
It just says the county or the municipality shall hold a public
that covers
hearing.
Okay.
Commissioner Seal?
But you did say that we could decide not to hear them at all.
Right.
And that's my preference.
Further questions? Commissioner Flowers?
Does this also include technical trade facilities? Because
no,
they do have high school students that attend those during the day. So that was one question. And the other is, within this, I'm sorry if I missed it, are they also requiring the notification? Because I know sometimes there's that, notification period that you have to make sure everyone is
right.
aware.
Yes,
Okay.
we would treat them just like we do a variance, so they get ample notice.
Okay.
We would notice surrounding property owners within at least 250 feet of the property. That's per code. What we do for variances, we do the same process for this.
Okay. Thank you.
So it's the school might be 400 feet of the proposed site. And the notices would go out to 250 feet. So the school might not ever see that notification.
I would ensure they would. We can go further than 250 depending on the case.
All right.
But yes, the statute says elementary, middle, and secondary schools.
And this is for current medical marijuana dispensaries as they are currently defined in law, not what may come.
Correct.
They would have to adjust that.
Commissioner
Eggers?
Yeah. What currently, I guess this is a county thing, so in the county ordinances, what currently do we have that have those kinds of restrictions? What are the different?
Alcohol dispensing for like bars, not with the one with a restaurant, but on-premises consumption, like a bar. That's only a bar, not a restaurant. Also, adult uses. Adult uses are 400 feet. You can vary that down to 200 feet, but you put in your code that they cannot vary anything closer for an adult use, anything closer to residential or daycares, things like that, for adult uses. So you do have a hard line of 200 feet for them.
And are those both just county driven? There's no state preemption on those?
Correct.
Okay, so
although the state does have a 500 feet radius for alcohol, but I believe it's it's not as strict as the marijuana.
So variances on those, or I guess adjustments on those, have to go to BAA right now?
Correct.
Okay.
Commissioner Seal.
I think you already answered it. So the state's alcohol is 500 feet radius, not a straight line, it's around.
It's a radius around. For us, like an alcohol, say you have a bar and a strip mall, it'd be from that specific location in the strip mall. The closest entrance to that, the bar or whatever, if it's in a strip mall, would be from that point to the nearest property line.
So we
that
follow the
contains a school.
500 rule as well for alcohol?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
And that is as the crow flies, not as the streets define,
Correct.
right? Okay.
And the statutes say not to a school building, but the actual property line for the school. So you could have schools sometimes have very large properties, so it's to the property line itself instead of the school building. It's got to be 500 feet.
Further questions for staff? If not, we do have one public testimony. Mr. Pressman, come forward. Thank you, Mr. Bailey. And you'll have 3 minutes.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Todd Pressman, 200 2nd Avenue South, number 451, St. Petersburg. I'm the agent for an application that's pending before the county. And this is an issue that lies extremely similar to your Board of Adjustment that looks at quite often in terms of distance separations. These pharmacies are highly licensed, very restricted. The operators have millions of dollars invested in them. So they are closely regulated by the state and are maintained on a pharmacy-like basis. Circumstances do bring themselves forward where mitigation is required. So not to get into the facts of it, but as an example, the site that I'm working with, while there may be a 500-foot distance as the crow flies, but by pedestrian access and with mitigation with lakes, with a lake and buffer and roadways, it provides a buffer that's really in effect much more than what would be a 500-foot basis. So this would only take into account those very curious circumstances where there is mitigation that meets the intent of the state law. Again, in some circumstances, the state measures as the crow flies, but does not take into many other mitigating factors. So these are pharmacies and uses that are critical for the public. I know of many people who use them for very serious illnesses. We will not see a lot of these. There's only 5 of them in the county. Again, the type of investment is millions of dollars. They're required to control everything from growing to production to retail to everything in between. So they're not fly-by-night organizations. They're very responsible. My experience with them personally has been very responsible. So I'll close by saying this is a request, again, that is typically handled by your Board of Adjustments. They do a very good job of it. We're happy to proceed any way that the commissioners would like, and we ask your consideration. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Commissioner Gerard?
Well, I'm fine with the Board of Adjustment hearing these things. I'll make that motion.
All right, we're not done yet with public comment.
Sorry.
Mr. Pressman, anything else?
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you being here. David Ballard Geddes Jr.
Hi, good day, Commissioners. Thank you again. David Ballard Geddes Jr. I live on Georgia Avenue in Palm Harbor. From Quaaludes to cocaine to ecstasy to Oxycontin to fentanyl, et cetera, so forth, so on, this society has been systematically stoned for decades as an objective. The main reason for legalizing genetically modified weed is so that the Monsanto Corporation or who's ever in control of the genetic modification of the weed, that they can have control over the seed production of that pot manufacturing. And then once everybody gets good and stoned, then the government can re-navigate and establish rehabilitation centers and tax everybody for that, too. I see two birds with one stone getting nailed here on this issue. If this commission takes the monetary interest out of this legalization of this weed, would you have an interest in establishing pot stores? Decriminalizing it and allowing us to grow our own weed in our own backyard probably still get us arrested. So it doesn't seem as though we're working on an even playing field with this interest of such. And I believe there's a little more discussion to be had here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And a lot of the framework legislation and rules that we follow are based in Tallahassee or in Washington, not in Clearwater. Further questions or discussion?
I just had one more.
Yes, sir.
I'm assuming that marijuana dispensary, I think it was mentioned, I just want clarification, marijuana dispensary, alcohol at bars and/or adult uses, all require the same zoning for their business, or are there different ones for those three uses?
They're essentially the same. Anything with a residential component would be the same zoning districts. There might be slight differences, but it's mostly C2 retail commercial. There's some E2 employment too, which allows heavy commercial uses.
But where you'll see one, you could see, that's the only places generally you're going to see
Correct.
those. Okay, thank you.
Further discussion? Commissioner Gerard.
I move that we refer these to the Board of Adjustment.
We have a motion by Commissioner Gerard, a second by Commissioner Long. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 6-1. Commissioner Seal. Item 29.
This is a grant award from the U.S. Department of Justice for the 2021 DNA Capacity Enhancement for Backlog Reduction Program for our forensic lab. This provides $288,000 of funding over a 2-year period. No match requirement.
Motion by Commissioner Long, second by Commissioner Flowers. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Show it passes unanimously. Item number 30.
This is a resolution approving the Pinellas County American Rescue Plan Act State and Local Recovery Fund Spending Plan. So this will be the first act of approving the items in Exhibit A. This is the first round of projects. Additional and ongoing projects will be brought back to the board for approval. And we will also be providing a quarterly update on progress and input as the program moves forward.
We have a motion by Commissioner Long, second by Commissioner Gerard. Further discussion? Commissioner Seal.
Yes, I'm going to vote no just because I don't agree with spending $35 million on the advanced metering infrastructure. So I also have some hesitation about the Toy Town study.
Thank you. Commissioner Eggers?
Yeah, I had the similar concerns, but I was hoping as we go forward that we at least consider our first responder locations that are in the unincorporated areas. I think, as we said last time, that there are a lot of the stations that are within cities and get the funds from those cities, the ARPA funds, but there's some of them that don't. I really don't have any planned things to bring forward, but at least I don't want to I mean, going forward, exclude that as a possibility. So nothing definitive today, but from my perspective, I think it's important that we at least keep that on the table. Whether it's hardware, software, things, services for our first responders that have gone through difficult times this past 2 years, whatever it is, whatever we might be able to augment. Just want to keep that on the table. Just a comment. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Commissioner Flowers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I apologize for missing the workshop and not asking this question, but on page 5 of 5, the Safety and Emergency Services allocation of $1.5 million, is that for that training center, Barry, that
I'm
you
sorry.
and
Just let me catch up
I'm
here.
sorry.
So let me pull that up. Unless, Chris, you can answer that quicker than I.
On page 5 of 5 of the attachments with the listed programs. Good morning.
Good morning.
1.5 million.
The
Oh,
1.5
oh,
is-
okay, Laura's here.
Laura Wojon, Office of Management and Budget. Yeah, the
I
fire-
was asking if that was buried, when you and I went over, we
Correct.
had the tour. Is
Mhm.
that what this is in reference to?
Yes,
For those?
that's
Okay,
for the fire training facility.
okay. I just wanted
her
to make sure
confirm. Yes.
I was on the right. And so this is,
And just for the commissioners, this really does address the regional issues of training for our fire and our first responders. So this
Right.
is our regional training facility. And when we were looking, we were trying to find regional programs and projects that we could do that impacted everyone. Here, the college provides a basic level of fire training that goes with their curriculum, but all the fire agencies use that for higher levels of certification that otherwise, so it's not fair for the college to have to incur costs associated with capital infrastructure for higher levels of certification. That's how we're regionalized that and using these funds as part of that program.
okay. Thank you. I just want to make sure that's what it was. Thank you.
Further discussion?
Just one quick question.
Commissioner Eggers.
Yeah, Barry, just real quickly, the rationale behind, and I think Commissioner Seal brought it up, the AMS infrastructure, and I think we're trying to provide some relief to our penny, and I get that, but where do we feel comfortable with the AMS infrastructure and the Toy Town, which seems economic development? So just give a comment on that,
There's
please.
two different issues. So obviously, part of the program is to alleviate some of the costs associated with the penny. As we know, our cost have went up, and so we will be in a situation to where if we don't use some of the funds to help alleviate impacts to the penny, that we will be taking planned projects off. And so this is an effort to do some of those where we can do those quickly. In that particular case, with the AMI project, that is actually because under the utilities plan and their expenses, we can get that project done. It alleviates costs that they have for their capital plan, and that will allow them to use their funds to be able to complete projects that may take longer than the cycle time for the ARPA funds. And so we actually shifted projects around a little bit because we were concerned about the ability to get some of the projects done, especially when you have things like the mobile home park implementations and things like that. We don't know the timeline for some of those projects. And so advancing projects that we can get done sooner and that have a more definitive time period makes sense. Because in that particular case, it's all coming out of the same pot. It's an enterprise fund. And so if we can, take projects on now, that alleviates dollars that are available and helps keep the rates down. That's kind of the way we were looking at that.
I get those parts, the alleviate the penny and, bringing a project quickly, but just conceptually, why does this ARPA fund make sense for this type of thing? That's kind of what I'm getting at, Barry, not that it makes sense to do from a monetary standpoint and a delivery standpoint, but really these funds related to this use.
Well, Laura, she can certainly answer that, but one is it's eligible, okay? So, and in terms of we can do a lot. So we're trying to do, and if you look in here, we're really trying to look hard at reducing the SSOs and the things within the sewer fund. But the timelines for addressing some of those larger projects are uncertain. And so while we would take some of these funds and target some of those relief efforts, it's easier to take projects within their capital plan that we know that we can complete inside the time period that then frees up dollars within their capital plan to address those projects that may not have a definitive timeline. Feel free to answer or add to anything I just said.
Yeah, with respect to the advanced metering infrastructure, we expect it will help conserve water by having a more accurate gauge on how much water and reclaimed water residents are using.
Anything for Commissioner Seal? I'm sorry.
Well, I just want to clarify a bit further. So the price tag on this project keeps going up, and we don't have a final price tag on it. It is an enterprise fund. The water fees were set to not increase for 4 years, and including through 2023. However, the reclaimed water fees will increase. And I also am a believer that when you do an enterprise fund, you do it using user fees, and I don't think that this is an appropriate use when we could be using $35 million for a lot of different other needs in this county. So we also have not gotten any kind of, we asked for a rate of return from some of the other municipalities and counties that implemented AMI, and we've not received any of that.
We do have some of the information back. It's hard to get the rate of return, so Megan is working on that. I think that the information we provided before shows that this is a cost-effective solution because you're either doing AMI or AMR. Either way, we're having to replace these meters over time, whether or not you connect it and then eliminate the manual processes of driving around. Either way, it still shows a return on investment over time. It is a lot of money, but they're spending a lot of money today to replace meters. That's an ongoing maintenance cost. And as you know, where they've been able to replace the meters with just the newer meters, they don't have to completely replace the meter. They just put an antenna on it to be able to connect it up to the system as they roll that out. But there are a lot of costs for infrastructure and getting the system in place. But from our perspective, it does show a return on investment, but it does take several years to recoup that.
Does the metering, is the metering for both, the water and reclaim?
Go ahead, Jill. I heard Jill in the background.
I think the point of trying, if you look back on these last 2 years and why these funds are here, to the extent that it helps our residents and their out-of-pocket costs, I think is a valid thing. And so really, to Commissioner Seal's point, the reclaimed budget is an issue. I think our waste water rates are at issue. Our water rates are not. At least seemingly. So,
that's correct.
So those to me would, as far as infrastructure use and penny use, those two areas, projects associated with those two, where we're trying to reverse that trend of rate increases, would be in the spirit of what we've been through. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, absolutely. But as Commissioner Seal also pointed out, we have not bid this project. So while it would include water and reclaimed meters, it would advance the installation, as the administrator was saying, into a shorter time frame. Otherwise, it's going to take you longer to replace them and eventually have the entire system on AMI. The benefit is the preservation under the Treasury guidelines, and we can make a system improvement that will serve every customer in the system in a shorter window of time. So that's kind of to recap. But that makes sense. We do recommend the project for those reasons. We understand it's expensive, but we will eventually have every meter AMI, whether we do it now or in the future. This doesn't, and also Commissioner Seal, wanted to let you know it does not affect the rates that are through the coming year that you were mentioning. That stays status quo because we've never addressed this project in the budget yet. So that's coming.
I don't think I was implying that. I was just saying that the water rates are good through 2023.
Right, and I'm just saying that's correct.
Okay.
And I don't want anybody to think that this project means there'll be a rate increase, that's all.
Well, but I predict that there probably will be. But And our sewer rates are going up 9.5% per year. So to me, making an investment in our sewer system, because we had all the laterals and all of that issue, making a bigger investment there makes more sense, personally.
Understand.
I want you to know that Megan did try to get more information regarding return on investment. What we got was system implementations from around the country. My question back to her was, what about Florida's counties and cities that have done this? And the response was, well, they've got to respond to us. And so it wasn't for a lack of effort. The ones that where she's gotten a response, it's been very cost effective and people have been very satisfied with it. However, local ones, which I think are more meaningful to you, they just simply didn't respond. That could be the holidays. I'm not really sure, but she did make an effort to address that. Again, what we've seen is these make a lot of sense. We're putting all-in effort on tightening up our water and or especially our sewer system, as you know. But those programs are very complicated, and so having a defined timeline of when we'd be able to implement those, we're going to advance those as quickly as we can, but we're not as comfortable putting those on the ARPA side because of the timelines associated with this grant program. But again, as you said, it's an enterprise fund. It's all coming out of the same fund. Well, a couple of them.
Commissioner Flowers.
Thank you. Jill, so I know when we had this presentation before us, I had asked some questions about the cost savings because I really had the questions related to a manpower standpoint because we were going to AMI, and so that may potentially mean that we may not need as many individuals that are out actually reading those meters. But the question I have now is, you stated that this hasn't really gone out for bid, so right now the 35 million or so is kind of an arbitrary number. Do you have an idea of how many meters that have actually been replaced that will only require the antenna versus how many meters will actually need to be replaced? You know, replacing the whole meter, because that I think would be some form of a cost savings if we know how many we would just, whatever the cost is for the antenna piece versus, and maybe it wouldn't come in at the $35 million mark when bidded because of those numbers.
I don't know the difference in the numbers, but it is part of that business modeling that Megan presented last month, and would be part of the bid. So there'd be a specified quantity for just the antenna versus the full meters, and obviously systematically doing that across the entire system is, huge. But that's our best estimate right now based on what other people are paying. And again, we know, things are more expensive right now too. I just want to, while I have the mic, doing AMI will also benefit us on the sewer side, as the administrator was pointing out, because that's how we figure out the billing for the sewer side. So, we see this project as having a lot of benefits if completed, but it's expensive, and we recognize that. We understand.
Well, I think one of the other comments you guys made too was as it relates to hopefully being able to detect leaks earlier.
Yep. Correct.
And as a person who just had the city come put a little blue thing on my door telling me that they came out because they noticed a high volume of water from my residents that was quite abnormal, and that they had checked and it wasn't on their side, it was on my side. But by that time, my bill was almost $300. But I do appreciate the fact that they notified me of that and we got there. I was able to get it rectified, but that's one of the reasons why I'm going to support this, is because I know how it feels when, that could have gone on and just not been detected. So, but it is expensive. It is expensive.
Further questions?
Jill, this is about 70 million package that we're asking for. If I look at it on the 3 pages, is that right? I mean, estimated, I guess, I'm just looking at the 3 pages of projects.
That's correct. I just wanted to make sure Laura confirmed.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
And how locked in? For example, Project Y, we have allocated in here, and then tomorrow we get a grant for Project Y from some other source.
Correct. We'll bring it back.
Are we able to make some adjustments?
Yes, absolutely. This needs to be a fluid project. We may get into projects and find out that there's land acquisition involved, and we come back to you and say, we wanted to do this, but it's not going to meet the time period requirements, so now we'd rather substitute it and do this. If you recall, we had about $500 million of projects that were proposed that we could do. We had to vet those down and think about the things that we really should focus in on. There's certainly a capacity issue with constructing and spending this type of dollars. But, you know, I just want to highlight there's some really good things. We're constructing accessibility outdoor recreation facilities, pedestrian and cyclist infrastructure in neighborhoods for qualified tracks. We're looking at human services software that helps with implementation of the coordinated access model. And so there's so many different things that are targeted in here that'll really make a difference in the community. We've only spoken about a couple of different pieces to it. But.
Very good. We've had questions. Did I have a motion on this one? We have a motion by Commissioner Long, second by Commissioner Flowers. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We have 6-1. Commissioner Steele. Item 31.
This is a change order number 1 to a contract with Keystone Excavators for the Lakeshore Estates Phase 2 roadway and drainage project. Recall we talked about this. This is a result. It addresses a number of things, but this project has been a complicated project. It's had a number of challenges with soils and bad soils and changes that needed to occur. And so this will correct the changes. A lot of these really were, you know, these are not on the contractor side. I mean, we gave them plans that said, here's the conditions, here are the soil borings and things like that. And when they dig it up, it's not the same. And so this corrects a lot of that. I did meet with community residents yesterday out there on the site, looked at it. They have endured a lot. This project has taken a long time in different phases, but it's certainly going to be nice as they complete the project. So this, again, addresses change orders associated with direct cost of the project.
Yeah, I did.
Are there questions?
Yeah.
Commissioner Eggers.
So we're adding $1 million to a $3.9 million project. There are 14 or 15 homes that remained ditched as opposed to swaled, and there's a cost associated with changing that from the ditch to I guess a covered pipe. There's also a timing for the permit. We have to submit that permit request again. For me, I would like to know what the cost would be to do that, because to me, if it's another X dollars on the project that we're already doing, for somebody, there's such a difference within the community, and also even within those 17 homes, they have 2 or 3 of them that do have old pipes that they're going to take those old pipes out, put new ones back in. I just would like to understand not only the cost associated with doing that, but also the permitting time that would be required. I guess we have to go back to Swiftmud to ask for permission.
Yes.
So I just like to understand that.
Yeah. And for the commissioner's benefit, so the project was designed to fix a current set of streets that the county assumed at some point. They were never built to county standards, and we took them over. So we designed it to improve the conditions out there, kind of as we have it. And you'll notice that as they're improving certain areas, it is better. But there are some that it was never designed to have to do land acquisition to have a stormwater retention area. The permitting wasn't designed around that. And Kelly can explain what would be involved in the changes to that. I did ask the question because I'd heard the same concern from some residents about, well, some areas will see their area improve with their yard. And that's largely because if there was a drainage problem for that area, well then it was improved as part of that. Down where there's a ditch remaining, there isn't a drainage problem. And so it was really about the flow of the project, not taking out all the ditches within the community. But again, Kelly's here. She can answer your specific question, Commissioner, regarding what it would take to change that and the cost associated.
Well, as Barry just alluded to, yes, we are correcting drainage issues and reconstructing these roads to county standards. But in addition to this, this community directly discharges into Lake Tarpon, which is a swim water body of the state of Florida. It's an impaired water body, and we are required to maintain water quality treatment going into Lake Tarpon. We receive water quality credits for those swales because they do provide treatment. If we were to wholly pipe in this community, then we would have to propose alternative treatment methodologies, which if you've been out there, you know that there really is no publicly available land beyond the right-of-way. So we would be talking about acquiring a parcel of land out there and constructing a pond to convey that water to the pond for treatment before discharge into Lake Tarpon. So costs associated with that would be associated with the acquisition of a property and design and construction of a treatment facility.
First, I didn't say wholly pipe. I was talking about 15 homes. And so that's, the first thing. And it just, again, I'm not sure where we got the idea that there's no issues with water retention right now there, or not flooding, but water accumulation. The ditches countywide are a problem, just in general. And in this particular one, just one or two houses down, the pipe itself that goes underneath the driveway is plugged. So by definition, if the water is flowing the way it's supposed to flow to the east from this person's house, you would have no flood or water retention, but we have a plug there, and it's a problem when you have these open ditches. Again, not saying we have a lot of swales throughout this project. I'm not talking about putting pipe everywhere. I'm just talking about where these aren't just swales. These are good-sized ditches, and to me, and again, what I didn't know about the other day was that you have pipes that you can put in that have permeability to them that would add to what we're talking about open ditches do. I'm not saying maybe it's as permeable, but it is some permeability to it. And I just think if we're adding $1 million to a project like this, I just wanted to know what that cost would be for those particular ditches and how long it would take to get re-permitted for that area. That's all.
Well, again, we would have to provide treatment. So if we were to fill in any more ditches, we would have to compensate. All right. So, typically, you're talking about like an underdrain pipe that allows water to percolate in. We are talking about an area that already has a very high groundwater table. It's directly adjacent to Lake Tarpon, so you're not going to get a lot of percolation if you have a pipe that's deeper. Also, we have a lot of problems with those types of pipes, with silts and sands that end up getting in there and clogging them. Part of this project does include the removal of those driveway pipes, replacement with new pipe, mitered end sections, those swales being regraded. Something that was mentioned last week was concerning maintenance. And one thing that I just wanted to bring up is that, yes, in the past, in our not so distant past, we did not have resources and funding for maintenance, but we do today. We have not, gone in there and done extensive maintenance in Lakeshore Estates because this project was on the books and going to be constructed. So we didn't want to go out there and use our maintenance staff to go out there and rebuild something that was going to have to be torn back up. But we are doing that type of maintenance now, and in the future, if these types of things happen, like Commissioner Eggers just mentioned, with a plug of sediment in those pipes, we can get out there and get that resolved.
Okay, so I'll ask for the third time then. How much would it cost to put them in, and what permitting process would we have to go through to get them approved?
How many, you do have a linear.
15 homes. There's about 15 homes.
Okay, so we would have to substitute, we'd have to do the calculations. I'm sorry, I don't have this on the fly. We'd have to do the calculations to determine what treatment we're losing, and then we would have to find a suitable location to provide compensatory treatment for what we're losing. Then we would have to design and construct that improvement, acquire the land to do so. I can try to have staff put together a quote, for that type of construction project, but again, we're very limited in the land that we have available for providing compensatory treatment.
So it's, you're basically saying that the percolating pipes that you'd put in there have less percolation than the open ditches right now, and that would in turn require a need for additional land. That's what you're saying?
You're talking about replacing a swale system with.
I'm talking about the ditches. I'm not talking about the swales further to the west. I'm talking about these 14 homes that are down towards the east end of that, I think it's Lakeshore Drive.
Lakeshore, yeah.
Yes, sir.
So that's all,
Okay.
again, so that's just
can-
my, my point, and I think that should be done.
So just so we can go back and look at that, this is for Lakeshore Drive, that would be a different change order, if even possible, because if it required land acquisition, then the time period. So we can do that. We won't have an answer for that. This is to be able to keep the project moving for the cost associated with the change orders within the project currently.
Yeah, and this is just for it's largely, when you look at the change order, it's change in the road bed. So we're going from a shell sand mixture to stone.
I'm certainly glad we caught that. That's a big catch. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem moving forward with the project, but I would just like to take a look at these 14, 15 ditches, see what that would lead to, cost standpoint, and what we, if any, I mean, I know it'd be additional cost because of the pipe and the overlay, but just see what the cost would be as far as requiring an additional piece of land for additional water retention, and then what the permitting time frame would be.
And we would have to also kind of look at, again, the groundwater conditions out there. Those types of pipes only work where you have effective distance between the pipe and the groundwater table. So if it can't percolate down, then it ends up with it being a pipe that stays filled with water, which is another problem. So
versus not having that problem with the open ditches. Right. I know you still would have the same percolation, but you wouldn't have the accumulation in the pipe, right? I mean, that's what you're saying. Yeah, I get it. Thank you.
Further questions? Commissioner Seal.
Just a observation, I guess, in general, or a comment. It's always interesting when you go back and you look at different projects that were built in the county versus built in cities. And in many cases, the swales and the ditches are today considered to be environmentally a smart way to go. However, that being said, I do believe that there is areas in this county that we have not done the proper upgrading that we should to make it as friendly to the homeowners and to the surrounding property owners. Mm-hmm. So I guess going forward, I'd like us to use a lens in general to say, what is the right thing to do in this place? We just went through a whole resurfacing of a neighborhood, and we just went back in and resurfaced it. Didn't put any curb and gutter, didn't modernize it to any urban standards. We just went in and paved. It didn't solve a lot of the problems in the neighborhood, and it long awaited, wanted to be paved neighborhood, and they're very disappointed. So I guess what I'm saying in general is I think about Lealman and seeing the ditches there that are actually, in my opinion, dangerous. And I hate to say that publicly, but,
There is a difference between a swale and a ditch. Yes.
So in looking at this particular project, and Kelly mentioned that maybe there's a way to, she already said that maybe we'll alter the depth of it. So maybe there's a way to look at this and actually make the swale less of a ditch and more of a swale. And I'm glad to hear that we now have maintenance dollars, because that has been an issue over many, many years with basically saying, sorry, you got garbage in your ditches, not our problem. You got to mow it, you got to keep it up, and I'm not sure if this is coming from our stormwater fund or where it's coming from, but I'm glad that we, years ago in the recession, We walked away from taking care of right-of-ways, and we walked away from, just, it's too bad, it's up to you. So I'd kind of like to know what the balance is, and again, it's an observation in general. I get the dollars, but I also get the, I want a modern, urban-looking system and not a ditch in my front yard or, no, in a paved road. I don't want to see standing water after I waited all these years to get something fixed. So I know there's balance.
And we can certainly look at that. Obviously, the issue is we increase our costs, then there's not as many we can do because we're limited by the penny dollars, right? But I don't know how much that is, how often that is. That's something that we can have at a staff conversation and discuss it with you further.
Well, it's interesting because this board backed a initiative I did several years ago where we were looking at areas of the county where there was no drainage, there was no curb and gutter, there were unpaved road, and so we did a screen by which we identified kind of the worst areas, and especially in poverty areas, and then we tried to go in and fix them as we could, and we had kind of like a little dedicated millage to do that. And so this would be something similar. I just think about ponds. I mean, the list could go on and on and on, and it's never ending, but we are going to have to be thinking about this as we look at sustainability and we look at sea level rise, and we're going to have a different screen as we take a peer at this. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Further discussion?
I'd like to make the motion, if I could.
Commissioner Eggers.
Just like to make the motion, if I could. Just real quickly, also, just to your point, and I think Kelly and the group have, over in Spanish Acres, it's a community up off of Belcher, where they actually did go in and didn't just repave. I mean, we actually did a lot of boring samples in there to see if there was some underground work that needed to be done. There was some sidewalk work that needed to be done, some ADA stuff, and they kind of did look at it globally, and they made some changes all at once. So I think that's a kind of a total look before we go paving and then have all these problems underneath. So I really commend staff for doing that. And I think the 10-year review, maintenance of these swales and ditches, the standard is, and maybe that's the standard, but I think now there's funds available. So if somebody sees their ditch kind of getting filled in, they can call and say, hey, come out before the 10. It's year 5 and it's starting to fill in. So I'm glad to see that we have some funds. My motion would be to approve the contract with the stipulation that we look at those areas west of, and I don't know the exact street, but I know you do. It's where there's a little thing a little crest in the hills that flows to the east. Yeah, the east end. Just take a look at that again for cost of the pipe and what that residual would be as far as requirements for additional stormwater pond, what that cost would be, and the timing for that permitting. And the sooner the better, because I know the permitting takes some time. And we're not in that area doing construction now. We're getting there, but I just would like that be part of the motion to do that and bring that piece back for additional consideration. So that's my motion.
We have a motion. Second by Commissioner Peters. Commissioner Gerard. Okay. Further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Show it passes unanimously. Commissioner Gerard.
Yeah, I agree with my fellow commissioner over here, Commissioner Seal, about taking a look at the issue as a whole, and I'm speaking to Kelly, I think. But philosophically, if we're looking at sustainability, we can't pipe the entire, we can't. I mean, it's not how you're going to deal with stormwater in the long run. It's just not, we can't, we might as well just pave over the entire county and let the water just sit where it sits. So long term, I'd kind of like to look at the philosophical perspective of what are we doing for sustainability in the long run. Am I making any sense?
Yes, you absolutely are.
And I know that ditches and swales are part of our drainage system. So, particularly in established neighborhoods where there is no other place to do it. So I think it would be good to have that discussion so we know what we're going to be looking at in the future, because we could have this argument
And
100 times over the next 10 years.
And Commissioners, they did look at the entire neighborhood. They had
Oh, I know,
they
but I'm-
had public hearings.
Yeah.
And so, as I met with the project, engineer, she was explaining some of those public hearings and stuff. And so these are coming up afterwards, which is not a bad thing, okay? But they did look at the entire neighborhood and some of the difficulties associated. And, as Kelly and I were talking before the meeting, if you look back when this neighborhood was built, it was underwater. It was part of Lake
Yeah.
Tarpon. Okay, it was filled in, and so we're even looking at how do we look at an area that was a fill area, and doing core samples versus an area that wasn't a fill area, because we should have known the depth of the pavement and things like that, because they have core samples all throughout, but they didn't show the problems associated that we found in this project. And so we probably have to treat those a little bit differently and approach it a little bit differently, depending upon the area. And that's kind of a lessons learned from this, and it'll go back to our project manual on how they prepare for and engineer projects like this.
Yeah, and I'm not just talking about a neighborhood, I'm talking
Yeah.
about in general, how we're,
Well, it's interesting that you bring this up, and Jill and I were actually talking about stormwater, because I think the last time we actually had a conversation about where we are with our stormwater utility and what we have accomplished. It's been a number of years, and that it probably, and many of the commission have changed, and we're not part of those initial conversations about the hows and the whys and what we were trying to accomplish there. So it might be a good opportunity, one, to come back and provide that historical framework of how we got where we were, what we did, as a result of that, what we've accomplished to date, and what we're planning for in the future. As to your point, green infrastructure is a big piece of our tool in the toolbox when dealing with stormwater issues. Not every tool works in every place, but we really do try. We are heavily working with the communities up in Crystal Beach right now, because they are, their community is very different, and they strongly want to preserve that old Florida look, and they want the green infrastructure. They want the swales and the bioswales and things like that, because it continues that feel of their neighborhood. And so we're working with them to accomplish the stormwater goals while keeping their characteristics of their community the same. And so to that end, we have, really been trying to model that ethic in as many of our projects as we can, where it fits. It doesn't fit everywhere. But we're doing our best. All of our project managers are now Envision certified, including myself. I have been for many years, which is the Institute for Sustainable Infrastructure out of Harvard University. And there's a whole set of criteria around that about how you look at these projects and work with the community to bring them to fruition. So I'd be happy to kind of have that conversation at some point in time in the future, maybe a work session to bring us back to to our history and kind of where we've been going for the last several years.
Commissioner Seal.
And Kelly, to that end, we had talked about really working on regional stormwater ponds, and I don't think I've seen much progress in that regard. So again, as one who really pushed to get the stormwater fee into place, and then we went out and we toured different stormwater facilities, maybe it's time for us to do that overview, as you said, and maybe go take a look and see and understand really where we are and where we need to be, because I do believe this is one area that we truly have to plan for the future. And an example would be, I recently was out at near the city of Clearwater's Kapok Tree Park, and I was on the city commission back in 1996 when we approved buying a mobile home park, tearing it down, and creating a whole stormwater regional pond there. It is a beautiful park, and it's serving its purpose. And we actually identified all these different capital projects before I left the city commission, and they've now all been implemented.
Yeah, KPOC is beautiful if you haven't had the opportunity to go see what a multi-purpose facility can
It's
be.
amazing.
Because to be honest, most people don't realize that it's a regional stormwater facility. They think it's a park and soccer fields and all those other things. So it's just, it just shows how, stormwater can really be integrated into pretty much anything, so. Thank you.
All right. Item 32.
This is the fourth amendment to increase the contract with HDR Engineering for the San Martin over Riviera Bay project. So this request increase the contract by $54,000.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Long, second by Commissioner Eggers. Further discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Show it passes unanimously. Item 33.
Resolution amending Resolution 20-85, providing authority for expanding the area for authorized use of golf carts within unincorporated Palm Harbor, and the county attorney has a slight modification.
Madam Attorney.
This item was delayed, and so we need to change the effective date.
Effective date of February 1st instead of January 1st as included in the materials.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Long, second by Commissioner Eggers with the attorney's comments. Further discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Show it passes unanimously. Item 34.
Pinellas County Rescue Team agreement with Pinellas County, with the county and the cities of Clearwater, Largo, Pinellas Park, and St. Petersburg.
Motion by Commissioner Long, second by Commissioner Gerard. Further discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Show it passes unanimously. Item 35.
Amendment number 2 to an agreement with Advanced Disposal Services for landfill operations at Bridgeway Acres. I think there was a comment before. Paul Sacco is here to answer any questions you have.
Motion by Commissioner Long, second by Commissioner Peters. Commissioner Seal.
I see the logic behind this, but with the fact that we will be getting back in the business in about 5 years, I don't agree with this, privatizing this in the interim. So I'll be voting no.
Further discussion. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
No.
Passes 6-1 with Commissioner Seal. Item 36.
This is an appointment to the Technical Management Committee. We had a person change jobs, and so we'd like to appoint Robert Mills.
Move approval.
Motion by Commissioner Eggers, second by Commissioner Gerard. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Show it passes unanimously.
And I just want to say a thank you and a shout out to Deborah Bush, who retired. So she was with the county for a long time and did a lot of great things. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up. We appreciate her service. Item 37.
Resolution approving issuance of multi-family housing revenue bonds. This is for Creekside Manor.
We have a motion by Commissioner Long, second by Commissioner Gerard. Commissioner Seal.
Did we find out on both of these projects what the developer fee was?
Is Catherine here? Where at? There she is.
Ms. Driver will come forward and respond. Good afternoon.
Hi, Catherine Driver with the Housing Finance Authority. I don't have that information with me today. I was asked about other information, so I can send that on to Della or Tom Almonte and get that to you.
But you did negotiate.
It's because they're getting tax credits, it falls under Florida Housing's rules of what can be used as a developer fee.
Okay, thank you.
And I appreciate you getting the information that I asked about last week during the workshop.
Sure. Thanks.
Further discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Show it passes unanimously. Item 38.
It's the same thing for Clear Bay Terrace.
Motion by Commissioner Gerard, second by Commissioner Peters. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Show it passes unanimously. Item 39, County Attorney.
Under item number 39, I'm requesting that you approve the proposed settlements in the case referenced on the agenda. This is as set forth in the confidential memorandum, which I individually briefed each of you on.
Motion by Commissioner Long, second by Commissioner Gerard, and others. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Show it passes unanimously. Any reports?
No, sir.
Thank you very much. Item 41, County Administrator reports.
The only thing is just a reminder, we have our strategic planning set for January 18th at Lowman Exchange.
And how is our auxiliary assembly room coming along?
We're going to be doing individual tours of that. It will be ready by the February meeting.
Thank you, sir. Item 42, appointment to the Palm Harbor Community Services Agency.
Move approval.
Motion by Commissioner Egger, second by Commissioner Gerard. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Show that passes unanimously. Item 43, I've got a few things that are kind of commission-wide, and then we'll go to individual reports. Mayor Ken Welch has let us know that he will be nominating himself to serve as the City of St. Petersburg representative on the Tourist Development Council. We would like to approve that today so that he will be eligible to serve during our first meeting of the year. Motion by Commissioner Gerard, second by Commissioner Flowers. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Show that passes unanimously. You received a memo regarding another Skyway Bridge lighting request. Most of these are coming in time for a meeting, but there will be times when they don't. So we have two things to, one, is there any objection to the request that we received on the rare cancer lighting?
Move approval.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Egger, second by Commissioner Gerard. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Show that passes unanimously. There has been some discussion over the year. I know this is still a relatively new thing. If we receive a request and it's not timely as far as when we're going to be meeting, would you like it to be handled like resolution or proclamations are handled, where we'll ask you individually if there's objections? And I'm looking at the attorney if that's something that we can compile outside of a meeting, or do you want to give the chair authority to approve during those interims?
I would recommend that you give the chair authority, because taking a poll is essentially voting outside the sunshine.
All right. All right.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Peters, second by Commissioner Long. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Show it passes unanimously. Thank you. I'll be trying to make those decisions that will be good for you. All right, I got a couple things at the end. Do you have any individual commissioners have committee reports or news to bring forward? Commissioner Flowers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first thing that I wanted to go over was I have the pleasure of serving on the Career Source Board, and as a result of that appointment, I serve as the vice chair of that committee. There was a whistleblower allegation that was brought forward by an employee. I couldn't share all of that information, but I did speak with legal and copied Barry on it, because I wanted to make sure things were done in order as a result of all of the things that happened in the past with Mr. Ed Peachy. It was investigated by an outside individual who is an attorney and has expertise in human resources and policy and things of that nature. All of the individual allegations that were made were unfounded. I forwarded a copy of that report to Jewel, to our attorney. And so I also saw where there was an email that was sent to you all with the information that was sent over to, or sent up to the DEO. It is the same concern. And so the Career Source Board will take no additional further action because those items were unfounded. The second thing I wanted to talk about was the ARC groundbreaking, but we've already covered that, so I'm very excited about that. And so is the community. The only concern I do have, and have expressed that and shared that today, was I want to make sure that people that reside in that community are able to take advantage of the ARC resource and its purpose for being there in the community. Congratulations, Commissioner Seal. It's my understanding that Daystar presented you with the With These Hands Award. So congratulations on that. It's really given to someone who they feel has done a tremendous job in the community for speaking up for those who sometimes don't have a voice and all the different things that you do. So that was wonderful to hear that. I just wanted to share some information because I don't want people to think that public transportation is a bad thing. We've worked so hard on trying to reverse the mentality of public transportation, and I serve on that board. Commissioner Long serves on that board, and I also have the pleasure of serving on T-BARTA. But the buses' windows being tinted is not to hide ridership. As a matter of fact, ridership is up and increasing, and we are very thankful for that. Even through COVID, we had to reduce the number of people that were on the bus based on safety, but PSTA provides 31,866 daily rides, 287,546 bikes on buses. That's persons who utilize their bicycle to get to the bus stop and then they travel on to their destination. We provide over 800 weekly ADA rides. Those are persons with disabilities. They depend on public transportation to get to and fro, and we make those accommodations. I am super excited about the electric buses that we have, that as soon as you get on, they have those seats that can easily fold back so that persons in wheelchairs can get on those buses. 48% of PSTA's funding comes from state and federal funds, not local. So I wanted to share that. And I also wanted to share that I think that we are doing a wonderful job. And when I say we, I don't mean just Pinellas County. Every representative that sits on that, including on T-BARTA, we're doing a wonderful job of trying to do what it is that the state legislature has asked us to do, which is to combine our efforts to regionalize our support one for another and to make sure that those services are provided so that when we are out trying to recruit corporations to come here, that they see that we have a way for individuals to take transportation to get to and from effectively and efficiently. So I just wanted to share that because we're working really hard to try to take away the stigma as it relates to public transportation. And we have so many people that depend on public transportation to get around. And now, I attended, along with the executive director, Brad Miller, the Pinellas County School Board's meeting where we have ratified for those individuals that are in high school, and we've selected 4 high schools to begin with. Gibbs High School is one, Largo High School is the other, Dunedin High School, and I'm sorry, the last one kind of has taken away from my memory. But those individuals will be able to ride the public bus, PSTA, to school to see if that will aid Pinellas County schools in some of the issues they have had regarding hiring drivers. A number of drivers retired. Some of them were ill during the COVID movement. If you have family members, you know you may have gotten that call saying the bus was delayed and perhaps that student didn't get home until well after 5:30, 6 o'clock. So we are hopeful that that will help with some of those issues and concerns. That was approved by the Pinellas County School Board's board, and Brad and I went there to make the presentation, and we were very excited about that. We're also excited that we, through public transportation, PSTA, have provided the free bus passes to the teachers, support staff, and students for Pinellas County schools, so they can ride the bus any other time at no charge. We are hopeful because I've asked for some additional follow-up numbers as that moves along, how many are actually using the transportation. So we are looking to link the Flamingo Fair piece that will be able to actually track ridership on that. Something that didn't come out, but I'm sure, I'm hopeful that some will be elated. Thank you so much, Barry and staff. The coordinated access model was funded through the ARPA funding, so hopefully some people will be excited about that. So I want to thank you because I know sometimes you've gotten beat up a little bit about not moving fast enough on that. $19 million will go towards nonprofit agencies for capital improvement programs that will be through a competitive process. But I think that that will spell a little hope for some of the nonprofit entities that are out there. And again, thank you so much for the $1.5 million for the fire training center that we have, because it does provide a regional approach. And that is all that I have. I just wanted to give that shine and shout out, and I just wanted to kind of clear up some of the things about public transportation, because I think we're doing a wonderful job in taking cars off the road, trying to look out for our environment while also providing a transportation service that will help those who do not have transportation otherwise. Thank you.
Just had one thing.
Commissioner Eggers.
Yeah, just one thing real quickly. Tampa Bay Water, this year, 2022, we're going to be, digging more into water quality that Pinellas County has issues with, because we end up getting most of the, all water quality is within standards, so let me start with that. But we just have some issues with some of the issues coming out of our wells, and we get a lot of well water here in Pinellas County. So we're looking at a water quality project that will make that water quality even better, and that's coming, hopefully this in 2022. In addition, we're going to add another water supply source. So we're looking at 3 right now, so one of those will be added probably towards the end of this calendar year. Secondly, Lisette Hanowitz, newly elected, I guess, council person down in St. Petersburg, is going to be the representative of the Tampa Bay Water. So she'll be taking Councilwoman Rice's position, and Councilwoman Rice did a really great job on that board. The good news is there's no other new people coming, so there'll be some continuity as we deal with these 2 major issues this year. And finally, just wanted to thank the chair for reappointing me to that board. I really enjoy the board. It's been just awesome. My 2-year chairmanship ends at the end of February, but certainly we will be on that board and representing you and bringing information back to this board. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just a couple of things I wanted to mention. One, wonderful thing about Facebook, there's memories that pop up every morning that tell you what happened 2 years ago or 5 years ago. 3 years ago today, we cut the ribbon on the YMCA infant child care facility at the Exchange, and provided a lot of great services for our young families in Lellman, so appreciate the WISE partnership there. Wanted to thank Ring, the door safety, and Congressman Bilirakis brought some free rings for seniors in Pinellas Pasco, and we had teams out through our AAA out installing those in the last few weeks, so that's a great service for our seniors. Tampa Bay Estuary Program, our Environmental Restoration Fund grants are now live on the website, tbep.org. If your organization is eligible, apply for a grant, get some money to do some good work. And then the last thing is just to wish good luck and Godspeed to our legislators who are opening session today and have 60 days of traveling back and forth in small committee rooms and tight fits up there, and we wish them safe travels. And with that, we are adjourned.